So brilliantly executed. But not as brilliantly executed as when Rex had to execute his own brothers. Oh! They give a lot of characterization to Anakin Skywalker, Count Dooku, General Grievous, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Ventress, and just a whole bunch of other people. They even bring back Darth Maul with sick robot legs. Apparently he has a brother who's absolutely jacked. And him and Ventress are actually part of the same species. Yeah, the women look nothing like the men. Now aside from Ahsoka, I think Darth Maul might actually have my favorite story arc in the series. When his brother finds him, he's on this planet that is used as a landfill. He's been there for so many years that he's gone crazy. When his mind is repaired, he desires revenge against Kenobi. And he just fucks up his life. Was killing his master not enough? He had to do it to his girlfriend too? He even becomes King of Mandalore at one point. The big climactic battle between him and Ahsoka was actually brilliantly done. Wow, it just hit me. Ahsoka is a female Star Wars character who is actually well written, and I actually like her. Disney's gonna have a lot of work on their hands to ruin this one. Also,
I like Rey. What are you talking about? Rey was fine. She wasn't a very sociable Jedi, but Rey had a lot of pressure on her.
So maybe it's just me, but I've noticed she wears more and more clothing the older she gets. So you know how I said this show felt more like a kid's show than a family show? Well, I certainly don't think that anymore. I do sometimes forget that the first season of Avatar: The Last Airbender wasn't nearly as good as seasons 2 and 3. Now as for Star Wars Rebels, I haven't seen it yet. Yep. Unfortunately, that's all I gotta say about it. But I do know that Darth Maul shows up in it, so I'll check it out. Well, I've put this off for long enough. Now let's get into when Disney bought Star Wars, and how I slowly but surely fell out of love with it. Now the skit at the start of this video was genuinely how I felt about Disney buying Star Wars. I thought because they did a good job with Marvel, just buying it up and not messing with it that much, at least at first, and with how much they could pull from the Star Wars extended universe along with how much money Disney has, I thought they just had to do a good job. And I thought if they did a bad job, it would be at least better than the Star Wars prequels. And if it was worse than those, I thought at least they won't ruin so many beloved characters. And if they did that, at least Luke Skywalker would be okay, right? So first, let me tell you what I liked about the Star Wars sequel movies. The first 5 minutes, and that's about it. We had new characters, the special effects and props looked amazing. Okay, the one good thing that came from Disney buying Star Wars is just how amazing the effects are. But that's just eye candy. Special effects don't make a movie good. I'm talking to you, James Cameron. But of course, the coolest scene is when Kylo Ren freezes a blaster bolt in midair. Now granted, I don't know how this works. Yes, Jedi can move objects with their mind, but did he really just catch something that logically would be going at the speed of light? And also just hold it there? Like when he leaves, it just keeps flying. But I do still have some issues with these first 5 minutes. We have a droid whose head looks like R2-D2, and a body that is just a stupid design. We have stormtroopers
I like
again,
the design
and a
of
villain
BB.
wearing all black. And they're chasing a guy who is in possession of intel they seek. And he narrowly gets out of dodge before they get him. Yeah, this is a complete ripoff of Aragon. I mean Star Wars: A New Hope. Now, we already knew that they were going to do some of this stuff after we saw the trailers, but this was a lot more on the nose than
You
I
mean
was expecting.
Camelot,
But
you
there are
idiot.
some things that are different. A stormtrooper goes rogue, and we haven't seen that in a Star Wars movie yet. So let's go over our two characters we have. There's Poe. He's good at flying a ship, and I think he starts a mutiny one time that leads to nothing. But as for the rogue stormtrooper Finn, he's a lot more interesting. Now, apparently there was this big deal about him
See,
being
I felt the other
black.
way around.
Granted, we only had white people in A New
I
Hope,
thought Finn
but in
was the
Empire
interesting
Strikes
one.
Back, we had Lando Calrissian, who was the only black guy in Star Wars for quite a while. But then in the prequel trilogy, we had another black guy, who was the captain of the Royal Guards. And then later on, it was his nephew, also Mace Windu, the most powerful human Jedi, was also black. So for black people in Star Wars, we have an extremely wealthy man, 2 captain of the guards, and the second most powerful Jedi on the council. But Finn is just a generic soldier. But at the very least, he is one of the main characters. Now in this movie, while he's not that tough and he's a bit of a coward who constantly runs away from conflict, his story arc shows him getting braver and braver until he finally, with lightsaber in hand, faces his fear, stares down Kylo Ren, the most powerful man he knows, and he just gives him a look that says, "Bring it on, bitch." Oh my god, this sounds like an interesting character. What are they gonna do with him in the next movie? Well, it starts with him doing something silly. Haha, look, he fell on the floor. Then he has a story arc that leads to nothing. Oh boy, he's immediately back to being a coward? Oh wow, looks like all his character development got reversed. But at least he gets a new companion. No, not the one from Doctor Who. It's this Asian girl who's an even more hated character than Jar Jar. She will show him the evils of war and how capitalists profit from it, even though he's an fucking ex-stormtrooper. You know, basically a space Nazi. Now there's this deleted scene where Finn and Rey are running away from stormtroopers. Rey is not really good at shooting and Finn is not really good at driving. Eventually they switch. Rey is good at driving, well, I guess just because. I really don't know how she could be. She grew up poor and didn't really own a car. Like, have you ever met someone from New York? They don't know how to drive for shit. But Finn being good at shooting does make sense because after all, he's an ex-stormtrooper. Okay, now real quick, I brought this point up in a previous video and I got a lot of comments along the lines of this. How is that possible? Stormtroopers suck at shooting. Hahaha, no they don't. This is just a myth we Mandela'd ourselves into believing. First of all, the Tusken Raiders are good enough shots to hit speeders. And it's mentioned by Obi-Wan Kenobi that stormtroopers are much more accurate than Tusken Raiders.
Only Imperial stormtroopers are so precise.
Now that's shooting down pod racers. Everybody loves to point to that scene in New Hope where they couldn't hit our main characters in a hallway. That's basically the one and only scene people point to. And why they were such fast shots is because they were trying to let Han, Luke, and Leia escape because they put a tracker on the ship. And on top of that, those who are strong in the Force will be protected. Basically, they get a luck boost. So yeah, the idea that stormtroopers are just terrible shots is a complete myth. So why did they take this scene out of the movie? Well, it's because it makes someone aside from Rey look competent. Here's one thing that I and a lot of other people liked about the original trilogy. Yes, Luke Skywalker was by far the most powerful. He has a lightsaber, he can use the Force, and he's a pretty decent pilot. But Chewie clearly has more physical strength. Han is a better pilot, and Leia's not only much more diplomatic, but she's also a lot better at thinking of a plan. Now before someone says, "Wait a minute, Jar Jar, you're complaining about Rey being good at driving for no reason, but Luke is a good pilot for no reason. Can you explain that to me?" Sure, it's mentioned that Luke had a lot of training on the flight simulators when he was training at the academy. Yeah, most of the arguments
God damn it.
Trilogy defenders really just basic research into Star Wars to debunk them. I want to make it clear that the opinion that Finn's character was handled terribly is not just an opinion from Star Wars fans, but an opinion from the actor himself. Here's some clips from John Boyega saying how he really feels about the current Star Wars.
I want to remove race out of it, just from a business perspective.
Oh my god, you are annoying.
You guys got everybody motivated around Black Panther. There's no Black Panther, market a black actor and switch him, baby. You don't do it with white actors. You don't do it. You don't. So don't think you can have this skill set that's gonna put everybody on classes. You got white people and black people excited, and then we come in and they in it for 5 minutes.
As for Rey's character, well, she's far too powerful, far too good at everything. Take this scene out of the movie? Well, it's because it makes someone aside from Rey look competent. Here's one thing that I and a lot of other people liked about the original trilogy. Yes, Luke Skywalker was by far the most powerful. He has a lightsaber, he can use the Force, and he's a pretty decent pilot. But Chewie clearly has more physical strength. Han is a better pilot, and Leia's not only much more diplomatic, but she's also a lot better at thinking of a plan. Now before someone says, "Wait a minute, Jar Jar, you're complaining about Rey being good at driving for no reason, but Luke is a good pilot for no reason. Can you explain that to me? Sure, it's mentioned that Luke had a lot of training on the flight simulators when he was training at the academy. Yeah, most of the arguments from sequel trilogy defenders really just require some basic research into Star Wars to debunk them. I want to make it clear that the opinion that Finn's character was handled terribly is not just an opinion from Star Wars fans, but an opinion from the actor himself. Here's some clips from John Boyega saying how he really feels about the current Star Wars.
Just want to remove race out of it, just from a business perspective. Don't tease no black. You know what that does to black people? You know how you guys got everybody motivated around Black Panther? Don't tease no market no black market a black actor and switch him, babe. You don't do it with white actors. You don't do it. You don't. So don't think you can have this skill set where you're gonna put everybody on plants. You got white people and black people excited, and then we come in and they in it for 5 minutes.
As for Rey's character, well, she's far too powerful, far too good at everything, has no flaws to speak of, and on top of all of that, she's so incredibly bland. But there are so many problems with her character that I'm going to give her her own section later on in this video. Anyways, let's get back to reviewing the Star Wars sequel.
I liked Rey.
So Finn rescues Poe. He is able to do this because Poe is not a woman. They crash land on a desert planet that is not Tatooine. It's just a generic desert planet with only one sun, making it even less unique. Wouldn't it be more interesting if Rey was on a swampy planet, or an ocean planet, or a snowy cold planet, or, you know, any other planet in general aside from a desert planet? Okay, when this movie first came out, I was willing to look past a lot of the, hey, you remember this, nostalgia baiting it was doing. I mean, after all, we haven't had a new Star Wars movie in a while, so I could forgive them for playing it safe. But man, do they really push it. Millennium Falcon, destroying another Death Star. But then again, they do a few unique things, so I'll stop pointing out every similarity I see. Because if I do, this video is going to come out to being 10 hours long. Finn manages to get out of the ship, but it starts sinking, and then it explodes. Well, I guess Poe's dead. Oh no, wait, he's alive later on in the movie, and he's perfectly fine. How does someone survive a ship exploding, let alone in the middle of the desert? I thought this was maybe leading into him possibly being a Jedi and use the Force to sustain himself or protect himself or something, but it's not. He just survives the explosion for no reason given. Finn comes across Rey, and she gets attacked by two men who she easily defeats. Keep in mind, Luke got his ass kicked by a sand person and had to be saved. To anyone who believes that Luke is a Gary Stu and Rey isn't a Mary Sue, can you explain to me how that's possible with a scene like this? And here's another question I have. What does Rey beating these two guys add to the story? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. You could completely cut it out and legitimately nothing would change. Now, there's two ways this could have added to the story. One, she could have secretly been a Jedi who just had her memories erased, and that's why she's so good at combat. Or two, Finn could have joined the fight and helped her out. That's how they could have originally met and possibly started a friendship over it. But that would involve a man saving a woman, and we can't have that in a modern day movie. Now here's how I would have fixed this scene. Finn would have run in to help Rey and said things like, "You alien scum, how dare you attack a human?" You see, the Empire is very well known for being bigoted against non-human species. This could set up a storyline for Finn to learn to not be bigoted against non-human races. It makes the Empire look evil in a unique way we haven't seen in the movies. It creates a progressive message, and it gives Finn an actual fucking story arc. But I guess this movie wouldn't have sold as well in China if they did that. By the way, have you ever noticed that Finn got smaller and smaller on the posters as the movies went on, and that he's actually completely taken out of the Chinese version? Yeah, I just want to bring that up so you know that America is not the most racist country in the world. They're then attacked by ships sent from the Empire. Oh, I'm sorry, the First Order. They're so similar, I forgot they're actually different. They go into the Millennium Falcon, which is just sitting there with the keys still in the ignition, and it's fully fueled and everything. I mean, wow, what a convenient thing for the plot to move forward. Out of the tens of billions of ships they could have come across, it just so happened to be that one. In New Hope, if Luke and Ben didn't get on the Millennium Falcon, they would have gotten on some other guy's ship. But to give the film credit for one thing, this action scene is amazing. Flying through the wreckage of a Star Destroyer, having their gun get jammed, and then them doing this really specific maneuver so it can fire and destroy the other ship was just amazing. In fact, I can't believe I'm actually saying this, but this might be my favorite ship battle in all of Star Wars. I just wish it was done with characters I actually cared about. Because the Star Wars galaxy, which is canonically about 100 times bigger than our own galaxy, is such a small place, they run into Chewie and Han Solo, who are, actually good characters in this movie. Their characters weren't ruined, and they were used, in my opinion, just the right amount. Han Solo to this day is doing deals with powerful criminal gangs. And of course, right after he meets Rey and Finn, his deals come back to bite him in the ass. Now some of you may say, wait, didn't he become a general and get married to a princess? Wouldn't he settle down after that? Well, it's totally possible that could have happened. He could have also had a midlife crisis, or just missed the thrill of adventure. So personally, this didn't ruin his character for me. That being said, while this action scene with the criminal gangs and the weird-looking monsters does look cool, it's completely pointless to the plot. One counter-argument I hear from fans is, well, this scene is still shorter than the opening of Return of the Jedi, and that scene was also pretty pointless. Well, the point is, they had to rescue Han, and it also expanded the Star Wars universe a little bit. Plus, those movies came out in the 70s, when people had much greater attention spans. I don't hate this scene nor love this scene, it's just, okay. Kylo Ren is talking with Emperor Snoke, who looks like the love child of the alien from Crystal Skull and the Emperor, after he got burned. But who is this guy? Is he a secret apprentice of Emperor Palpatine? Or maybe the opposite, his master, Darth Plagueis the Wise? Or is he just some guy? Well, for the longest time he was, until they made it even lamer with him being a clone of Palpatine who was being puppeted by him. Now, I have not met a single person who defends him being a clone of Emperor Palpatine, but there are some people who defend him just being some random guy. After all, we didn't know how the Emperor came to power for a very long time, and if we're complaining about so many references in this movie, then why would we want another reference? Well, if he is just a random Sith, then how did he come to power? Where was he hiding? I have so many questions. Questions we will never get answers to because he just dies in the next movie. Until later on it's revealed that he's a goddamn clone. Yes, later on I'll get to how the two directors kept on screwing each other over. The effect on him looks pretty terrible. I don't know why he's a giant fucking hologram. That doesn't seem very cost effective. Like, the Empire just had a giant hologram of the Emperor's face, but the First Order is just the remnants of the Empire. They have a much lower budget. It's also revealed that Kylo Ren is the son of Princess Leia and Han Solo, and that's somewhat accurate to the comics. Our heroes go to a cantina because the director can't stop making references. Rey fixes a problem on the Millennium Falcon that not even Han Solo, the guy who owns the ship and had it for several decades, even know about. This scene, of course, adds nothing to the plot, but it's here to just show you how amazing Rey truly is. We also get Rey's one and only non-Mary Sue moment. She touches a lightsaber, has a vision, gets scared, runs away, and is immediately knocked out by Kylo Ren. Ah yes, that one scene that every Rey defender points to say that she's not a Mary Sue. But this of course leads to her using the Force mind trick without any training and freeing herself. No need to be rescued. Oh yeah, and if you're wondering how this alien woman got Luke's old lightsaber, it's a good question for another time, and as far as I know to this day it hasn't been told. I don't see how it could be that interesting. Someone just probably picked it up after his hand got sliced off. Also, it's pretty convenient that out of all of the locations Han could have taken him to, this was the one that just so happened to have Luke's old lightsaber. Now, the Super Death Star that can absorb stars within to itself, and it's the size of a planet, not just a small moon, shoots a humongous laser that wipes out 5 planets, and it completely wipes out the New Republic. So the remnants of the Empire created something even more powerful than the Empire ever built by several magnitudes. Now, one thing that I did think was pretty cool was this was the planet that the Jedi go to get their Kyber crystals from. The Death Stars also use Kyber crystals, and the Empire did take control of this planet a few years after Order 66. So yeah, I'm not gonna lie, that's actually something cool they actually did with pre-established canon, although it was still implemented in a pretty lame way. The Empire was able to build the Death Star somewhat secretly because, well, they had control over the galaxy. The First Order clearly doesn't. So how did they get away with making this thing? And they saw what happened to the last 2 Death Stars, so why would they repeat the same plan? Now, Finn does see the beam going across the sky before it hits the Republic. Wait a second, was the Republic that close to this planet? Why didn't Han Solo go there instead of this planet? Well, it turns out that everybody can see these beams going across the sky because the Empire is also using some space warping technology so that everybody in the galaxy can see it. Wow, that's stupid. Why is it that every time Disney tries to fix a plot hole in Star Wars, it just makes it 10 times worse? The First Order attacks the canteen. Rey, despite never using a gun before in her life, uses a pistol to take out multiple stormtroopers, and then she's captured. Finn uses a lightsaber and comes across a stormtrooper who has a shield and a gun, who throws it to the side to use this weird electric baton thing. Bro, you have a gun, just shoot him. Oh, but they're actually trying to capture him. He's a traitor. Yeah, if only stormtroopers were able to set their guns to stun or something. Han and Leia meet up again, which is the first and only time it will ever happen in this movie. Finn and Poe meet again. How did Poe survive? Well, it's a good question for another time. The soccer ball droid, just designed to sell toys, shows the last piece of the map to Luke Skywalker's location, which raises a lot of questions. If Luke didn't want to be found, why would he leave this map piece behind? R2 has the rest of the map, so it's useful, but wouldn't you only need one piece, the last piece? I mean, it's a galaxy. Don't they have like an entire map of the galaxy? They would just have to put it in and cross-reference it and say, oh, it's that planet. Kylo takes off his mask, revealing there was no reason for him to have it on in the first place. Because Rey once saw the final piece of the map, which Kylo Ren somehow knows about, he tries to force torture her for the information of Luke's whereabouts. But Rey, despite never using the Force in her life, manages to beat him, and then Kylo stupidly leaves a weak-willed guard to watch over her, letting her easily escape. You know, I've made a lot of rules for what counts as a Mary Sue. I think I'm gonna add a new one, and that's super convenient things happening so the plot can move forward. The new Super Death Star is protected by a shield, which is on the planet itself. I won't lie, I do like how every Death Star is just such a massive improvement over the last one. But after this, I don't see how they can improve it any further. I mean, I hope they don't do something really stupid, like having a whole fleet of planet-busting ships. Now, at first, I thought, wow, this planet seems really heavily defended. Maybe they'll keep this planet-killing weapon around and they won't be able to destroy it until a third movie. I mean, every time they've introduced the Death Star, it just immediately gets destroyed in the same movie. It would be a very interesting and welcome change from the original trilogy. But no, of course, they do something really stupid. It turns out that a ship can bypass the shield if it goes into hyperspace. Trust me, this will lead to a lot of problems later on, but I'll get to that when I do. Han Solo flies towards the planet and manages to get out of hyperspace just before hitting it. On his first try, he didn't turn it off too soon, or God forbid, too late. Modern computers probably couldn't pull this maneuver off. You know what? Fuck it. That's one Mary Sue point for Han Solo. I'm honestly shocked they didn't have Rey do this, but she was captured, so they couldn't. Finn, Han, and Chewie capture Captain Phasma. I honestly forgot to mention her because she's so irrelevant in these movies. And yes, I know she's played by the giant woman from Game of Thrones. You don't have to tell me in the comments section. She's held at gunpoint and turns off the shield, even though her armor is made of presumably Beskars, so those blasters should bounce right off. Wow, what a wasted character. Not even the other female characters can do something because it's all about Rey. Honestly, I just wish she did something cool. Not gonna lie, I actually thought she might have been Boba Fett's son or something for the longest time. Wasn't she completely loyal to the Empire? Wouldn't she just take the bullet? Does the control room for a shield that's this important really only require one person and it's so close by as well? Man, this movie is stupid. Now that the shield is down, X-Wings go to blow up the planet. All 12 of them. Like, seriously, that's all they got? This planet is covered in soldiers. They're gonna need way more than that. Maybe the Resistance just doesn't have enough ships. Oh wait, they do. If only they had like a really powerful bomber, like a U-bomber to bomb the whole thing. Oh wait, they do. Kylo Ren kills Han Solo and Rey witnesses it, in a similar fashion to Luke witnessing Darth Vader killing Uncle Ben. Oh wait, that was a mistake on my part, that's from Spider-Man. I meant Ben Kenobi. Chewie manages to shoot him, and despite how powerful we were shown this blaster is just a moment ago, it barely damages Kylo Ren. Maybe the Force was protecting him, or maybe his armor is really good. Now there is a fight scene between Rey, Finn, and Kylo Ren. Seeing Finn stand up to Kylo Ren is the first and last time we ever see him do anything cool in these movies. Basically, everyone thought they were leading into him being Force sensitive or something. But no, that would make someone aside from Rey look competent. Also, the Chinese probably wouldn't be too happy about it. Now, Rey doesn't actually defeat Kylo Ren. She's only evenly matched with him and able to hold her own. Personally, I would have had her hand get sliced off because honestly, that seems like a rite of passage for the main characters in Star Wars. Now, is this one of her many Mary Sue moments? Being able to go toe-to-toe with a guy who had training in both the light and dark side of the Force, being trained by Luke Skywalker and the Emperor himself. Well, people who defend the scene say that Kylo was weakened in two ways. One, he was fucking shot, and he was having conflicting emotions due to just murdering his father. But here's the thing, let's say you never used a sword before in your life, and you were going up against one of the greatest swordsman masters in the world. Yes, he does have a freshly made bullet wound, and he recently just killed his own mother, giving him conflicting emotions. Do you really think you would be able to hold your own against him? My answer is probably not. So to me, this scene is Mary Sue-ish, but not as quite as Mary Sue-ish as some people make it out to be. The Super Death Star is
What is
destroyed.
Mary
Our
Sue,
heroes are
dude?
returned home.
The
Leia
fuck are you
walks
talking
right
about, you
past
idiot?
Chewie and gives Rey a hug. Yeah, not even sequel defenders like this scene. Oh, Rey, I'm so sorry a man you only knew for a day just died. Really, you should be the one comforting me since he was my ex-husband, but I guess not.
Hey, Leia, what about me? I knew him even longer than I knew you too.
Yeah, but I don't want to comfort you because you stink.
Can I at least get a medal later on?
Maybe.
Yay.
Oh yeah, I almost forgot to mention C-3PO's arm is red. No, I don't know why. But now he has his gold arm back. Rey says goodbye to Finn and everyone else, and her and Chewie decide to go look for Luke. I don't know why they're trusting this random person they just met to find Luke, but whatever. Wouldn't Leia want to see him after all this time? We get to the moment where people went fucking nuts in the theater. Rey walks up to a hooded figure. He removes it, and it's Luke Skywalker himself. She holds out Luke's old lightsaber to him, and, well, that's where this movie ends. This is certainly a flawed movie, but so are all the other Star Wars movies. It made a little too many callbacks and references, and it was basically just a shot-for-shot remake of A New Hope. When this movie came out, I would say that about 90% of people liked it, including old Star Wars fans, and that includes me. I understand they had to play it safe so old fans would see something familiar and trust where this series was going. Pretty much everybody predicted that Han was going to die, but man, it would have been so cool to see Han, Luke, and Leia all fighting alongside one another. So unfortunately, we knew now we're never going to get a scene like that. But we still had high hopes for where this series was going. There were so many mysteries built up, so many directions it could go. And luckily, this movie was going to have a different director who wasn't just going to rehash the plot of The Empire Strikes Back. Little did we know this next movie would be the movie that would split the fan base in two. While I do think this is a passable movie to start off a new Star Wars trilogy, I do not think it's a good sequel. There's an old saying, a good sequel jumps off from the original, continues the story, and builds upon characters and themes that were previously established. This is why Terminator 2 is considered the best sequel. It wasn't like all the other movies that just tried to, copy what it did. This is why Empire Strikes Back is considered a good sequel, why Toy Story 2 is considered a good sequel, and why almost every sequel that did this is considered a good sequel. While a bad sequel just wallows in the original, tries to copy what it did, and doesn't really bring anything new to the table. But
What's up?
sometimes people make a sequel that's a little too different. For example, Legend of Korra. It tried to reverse all the characters from their original counterparts. And another sequel that changes too much from the original is, well, this movie, Star Wars The Last Jedi. Now, some people do like this movie. They even say it's their favorite Star Wars movie of all time. Now, if you enjoy this movie, more power to ya, I guess. But I still disagree with all of those people. But before I get to reviewing this episode, I would like to go over a full breakdown on how they ruined Luke. And honestly, they would have had to only make one change that wouldn't have completely ruined his character for me. Luke takes the lightsaber from Rey and just throws it behind him. Well, this did make me laugh at first. I then realized, oh god, this movie is going to be full of Marvel humor, isn't it? Luke is not Rey's father, which I am so happy about. One, it would have been kind of dumb. And two, Luke being the father of this plank of wood would have ruined his character even more for me. At first, I thought Luke was trying to do what Yoda did. Act completely differently to how he normally does until he starts training his new apprentice. But no, he just clearly wants nothing to do with Rey. Don't know why he left a map to his location, but okay. Apparently there were some scenes that were shot of him training Rey, but none of them ended up in the movie. Aside from telling her to meditate and not go into the darkness, and that's the first thing she immediately does. So why did Kylo Ren, the nephew of Luke Skywalker, turn against and destroy his new Jedi Order? Well, it's because Luke sensed the dark side within him and for a brief moment thought about killing his own nephew in his sleep. This, for understandable reasons, pisses off Kylo a lot, and he goes on a genocidal rampage. Now, the argument from people who like this movie usually goes something like this. Well, Luke isn't perfect, and Rian Johnson just wanted to show that he's flawed, and he just had a brief moment of weakness. Okay, let me explain why this argument is a complete load of bantha fodder. Luke's father, who he never got to know, killed his mentor, one of his best friends, and sliced off his hand. His father already completely turned to the dark side the moment he was born, and he was told by his mentor that there was no good left in him. Did he ever give up on his father? No. He was even willing to sacrifice his life just for one more chance to bring his father back to life. But because he just senses a little bit of darkness in his nephew, he contemplates killing him in his sleep? Even Luke himself had moments that he thought he would fall to the dark side. Did he at least contemplate how his friend Han Solo and his sister Leia would feel about him murdering their son? Hey Han, hey Leia, I murdered your only son. Luke, we trusted you with him. It's only been 5 weeks. It's also not a unique idea to show Luke Skywalker is imperfect and had a moment of weakness. He had a moment of weakness against his own father. But that was understandable because his father was thinking of making his sister his apprentice. If Luke Skywalker took down and redeemed Darth Vader, he could easily do the same to his nephew. Or maybe I'm wrong because somehow his nephew defeats him even though he got the drop on him. Yeah, Kylo wakes up, sees Luke Skywalker, and just knocks him out, I guess. And also on top of that, takes out all the Jedis who were training there. There also might have been a few guards he took out as well. I mean, after all, there are still the remnants of the Empire still out there, along with maybe a few Hutts and other factions. Wouldn't one of the biggest priorities for the New Republic be to protect the new Jedis? If Kylo Ren was able to pull this off, then I guess we can also start calling him a Gary Stu. Even if Rian Johnson really wanted to take things in this direction, there are about a dozen better ways of handling this scene. For starters, maybe not have Luke try to kill his nephew in his sleep. Here's how I would handle it. Leia would be too busy working as a senator to spend time with her son. Han Solo would
Gonna go pee, I'll be right back.
try to do the best he could at first, but then due to the Hutts trying to expand their territory now that the Empire is no longer around, Han would have to leave to do his duties as a general. Kylo, who I'm just gonna call Ben Solo for this section, being a child who craves attention and has the Force, yeah, he would probably do some pretty messed up stuff. Maybe he would just force choke random people, maybe he would just play a few childish pranks. So Han and Leia decide to send him to Luke Skywalker's new Jedi school, so he can learn Jishopuen. A life of a Jedi was not something they originally wanted for their son Ben. But hey, it's right now the best option, plus he can always drop out of it at any time. Luke would already have a few students who, by the way, would have been really nice to see in these movies. And they would have been way ahead of Ben. He would have felt inferior compared to them, being frustrated that he didn't learn things sooner, and just desperately wanting to catch up with the others. Growing up as someone who had the Force, a son of a senator, and a general, he would definitely have a superiority complex. He learns about the dark side of the Force, and starts to get stronger faster. Luke learns about this and starts trying to push Kylo back to the light side. He makes some progress, but then he's called to the front lines to deal with a situation. He's away for a lot longer than he expected, and when he returns, Kylo has fully turned to the dark side, got a few of his students to join him, and slaughtered the rest. Luke blames himself, and because of this, he goes into hiding. But he decides to leave a map behind to his location, in case the galaxy ever needs him. Luke saying to Rey, "I've seen this raw power only once before. It didn't scare me then, but it does now," would have actually made sense. In the current context, all it tells him is, maybe I shouldn't try to kill this one in their sleep as well. While it is true that people do change as they get older, and I wouldn't want Luke to be exactly the same as he was in the original trilogy, like Han was, this is not in any way how he would logically grow up to be. Someone who thinks about killing his nephew in his sleep and abandons his friends along with the rest of the galaxy. Could you guys imagine Goku, Aang, or Naruto doing this? Well, I guess Goku did decide to stay dead for 7 years, but he had someone pick up the torch after him, and as soon as a new threat arrived, he came back to life to join the fight. I've been waiting for basically my whole life to see the continuation of Luke's journey, and this is the shit I get? And I can't even imagine how Mark Hamill feels about this. I love how he came up with the meme of calling this character Jake Skywalker.
Maybe he's Jake Skywalker. He's not my Luke Skywalker.
For the people who like what Disney and Rian Johnson did to Luke Skywalker and they think it actually made him into a better character, which does seem to be only a few people and that number does seem to be shrinking day by day, then you're allowed to have that opinion. I may not agree with it, but you're allowed to have it. And it is better if this character at least brings some people joy than no one joy. But I could look past all of this. I wouldn't be happy about it, but I could still look past it. But then, Rian Johnson decides to kill Luke Skywalker's character off. Most of us who were fans of Luke didn't even see it coming. Luke Skywalker makes a Force projection of himself, which, to be fair, does seem like something the Force can do. I mean, if it can mind trick people, then the more advanced version would be making people think you were really there. And he does it from pretty far away, which is kind of badass. And somehow this kills him. Now, I guess you could make the argument that it required so much energy to use that it extinguished the rest of his life force. But when has the Force in any of the movies been established to be able to kill its own user if they push it too far? Yes, Luke clearly didn't have the power to take an X-Wing out of a swamp. He was struggling. But we never see any Jedi ever struggle when it comes to a mental technique. But even if you can't explain how this killed him, he's dead. He's not coming back in any more of the movies. Even if you like what they did to Luke Skywalker, did you really like that they ended his story right here? You guys could have gotten what you wanted, and us true fans could have also got what we wanted. In the next movie, he could have done something cool. They could have expanded on his story more. We could see what another director would do if they had a crack at it. But nope, his character is killed off, which is also pretty bad business-wise for Disney. Keep in mind, Disney Plus temporarily went down after the season 2 finale of Mandalorian released, just because Luke Skywalker was in it. So many people watched the episode all at once that the site couldn't handle it. A site, mind you, run by Disney. Like, I know for a fact that Disney is now regretting their decision of killing off Tony Stark in Captain America, but they at the very least got a lot of use out of them. I can't say the same for Luke Skywalker. The new characters they have to replace Luke are not exactly bringing in the money. Haha, hey Disney, how's that Rose Tico action figure selling for ya? So yeah, at least there's one good thing that came out of making Luke's character like this, and that's Disney shooting themselves in the foot. So fans of Luke Skywalker don't like what they did with him, and now Disney's losing a lot of money. No one won in the end. Oh yeah, one more thing. Not showing Luke's reaction to the news that his friend Han Solo died is completely undefensible. Anyways, that's all I have to say about Luke Skywalker. Let's get back to reviewing this episode. So the First Order is chasing after the Resistance. We see the U-bomber, and there's this Asian girl with a detonator, but then she drops it, but luckily she caught it. Poe does the last cool thing he'll ever do in any of these movies, and with his Top Gun Maverick skills, he manages to take out a huge Star Destroyer. Oh yeah, there's also some Marvel humor of him trolling one of the First Order generals. If I wanted Marvel humor, I would watch a Marvel movie, which are also trash now, thanks Disney. Snoke is really mad at his general, so he starts moving him around with the Force. By the way, I never understood how this works. Like, Luke got himself killed because he used a Force projection from really far away, but Snoke, from presumably the same distance away, can just move a guy around. And he doesn't seem to be straining himself at all. And there's also that time that Darth Vader somehow force choked a guy through a TV screen.
Didn't know I could choke you through the TV, did you? But I can.
Thanks to Poe's actions, they destroyed a really powerful ship of the First Order. Could they have gotten away if he didn't do what he did? Probably. But how the hell could he have known that they could have tracked them through hyperspace? And now that this new tracking technology has been introduced to the Star Wars universe, a lot of plots won't be able to be made because people can't just retreat by going into hyperspace. They'll immediately be tracked and followed. Like Rian Johnson, if you want to add new things to the Star Wars universe, that's fine. But can you at least think about the ramifications a little bit more? Snoke tells Kylo Ren, I want you to join the battle, kill your mother, along with the men, but not just the men, but the women and children as well. I accidentally spit on my microphone when I was doing that voice. He also wants Kylo to ditch the helmet, and yeah, it's gone now. I don't know what's more pointless, him having the helmet in the first place, or them telling him to get rid of it forever. The First Order is chasing after the Resistance, but they can't shoot at them because they are out of range. And also the First Order can't go a little bit faster, so they're just gonna follow them until they run out of fuel. I know this might sound a little weird of me, but I actually like this. I mean, after all, that's one of the main reasons as to why the Germans in World War II surrendered. They ran out of gas. Not always is a castle taken by the gate being knocked over and the troops pouring in. In fact, more often than not, the invading army would just surround them and wait for their food to run out. So yeah, this is something that could totally possibly happen in the Star Wars universe, and it's a surprisingly unique idea. But it's a little bit boring. Kylo Ren joins the battle. He's flying pretty good despite being blasted by Chewie. He lines up a shot to take his mother out, but he can't go through with it, even though he took out his father already. And they fire missiles, sending Princess Leia out into space. And yeah, this was not Disney's fault, and there's no way they could have predicted it, but shortly before this movie came out, Carrie Fisher, the actress for Princess Leia, unfortunately died. And seeing her corpse floating in space is just awkward and uncomfortable for everybody who saw this movie movie and knew about her death. But then it gets even more awkward with her frozen corpse coming back to life and force pulling herself back to the ship. And I'm not gonna lie, by no disrespect to the actress, I actually burst out laughing while I was in the theater, and I was not the only one. Sometimes things are just so tragically awkward that you just can't help but to laugh at the absurdity. Now, aside from things happening in the real world that made this scene really awkward, I'm 100% okay with Princess Leia being able to do this. Surviving the explosion makes perfect sense. Being sent into space actually nullifies most of the impact. I don't really see this as her first time using the Force. I'm sure Luke has trained her at least a little in between movies. It was a few decades. While we don't exactly know what would happen to a human if they were exposed to the vacuum of space, most seem to agree that it wouldn't kill you immediately. And if force pushing is a thing, I'm sure force pulling is as well. And yeah, sure, she might be really weak at this moment, but pulling herself through space sounds like it would be easier to do than if she was already on a planet. So yeah, if you hate this scene, that's fine. You can tell me why in the comments, but I'm okay with it. Plus, Princess Leia finally using the Force is something I've always wanted to see. Unfortunately, all of this causes Princess Leia to pass out, and someone else takes charge of the ship, one of the most hated characters in all of Star Wars, General Hodor. Okay, it's not Hodor from Game of Thrones, and if it was here, it would make no sense and it would be stupid, but I would still prefer it over what we got. Admiral Holdo, a purple-haired middle-aged woman. And yes, a lot of people who hate this movie love to bring up how this character's appearance looks. Now, I do believe this is the first time we've seen a human in Star Wars with unnaturally colored dye hair. They couldn't make her like a unique alien or something. They had to make her look like a feminist Karen. Now, Rose is clearly the most hated character in this movie, but Admiral Holdo deserves it the most. Yes, Rose is an annoying character, and her story arc of explaining the evils of war to someone like Finn is stupid, but her character at the very least has some redeeming qualities. It's not like she was doing something that could have jeopardized everyone and then made out to be someone we should agree with, clap, and root for. I'm gonna take a quick break from reviewing this episode so I can deconstruct and analyze what's wrong with her character. Basically, the Admiral tells none of them what she's planning. Why? Well, I guess it's because there's the possibility there might be a spy on board, which, by the way, there is none. But why would there be one? I'm pretty sure this ship is going to get destroyed. That spy isn't in the best position. And when could he have even gotten on board? Poe is clearly not the spy. He risked his life multiple times for the Resistance. He was even trusted with the piece of the map that led to Luke Skywalker. But if it has nothing to do with the possibility that there might be a spy on board, then this scene is, pretty pointless. Poe is understandably very suspicious of her, but she started it first by not trusting him and also saying that he's just another hotshot pilot. Yeah, she insulted him in front of the entire bridge crew. All he did was ask a simple question. While it is true Poe did disobey orders, he destroyed a very powerful gunship. How in the world could he have known that the First Order has the technology to track them through hyperspace? Poe is not questioning her orders, she's just not making them. I really don't care if she doesn't like Poe. She has been chosen as a leader during a time of crisis, and instead of putting her feelings aside, she argues with Poe like he's a teenager and she just got custody. Poe taking matters into his own hands and starting a mutiny is all her fault. None of this would have happened if she communicated. Now, apparently this was done as a plot twist. She may seem like she's against them, but nope, this was all part of her plan that she kept to herself because she didn't want to look like a hero. The film clearly paints her like she's the one in the right. Apparently this was all a very important lesson to Poe, to never question orders even when there are none. And I know this might be a stretch, but I think she might actually be a self-insert for Kathleen Kennedy, the current person who's running Star Wars. I can imagine some people questioning her authority, telling her that her plans for Star Wars are kind of dumb. And maybe she was right all along. I mean, let's look at the state of Star Wars currently, and oh dear God. The Admiral doesn't give any trust and respect to her men, so why should they give any to her in return? The film can tell us as much as it wants that she was in the right all along, but what we see is the complete opposite. She then sacrifices herself in order to save everyone else. I will get to the Holdo maneuver later, but in the next movie it's actually revealed that she may have not tried to sacrifice herself and was actually trying to run away. Because in Star Wars Episode 9, oh god, I can't wait to get to it, Poe says that the chance of pulling off the Holdo maneuver is 1 in a million. So was she actually trying to run away? God, I hate this character. I hate this character so much. Now, I heard from some people that Admiral Akbar should have been the one to do the Holdo maneuver. And to be perfectly honest, they're not going to have someone with the name fucking Akbar do something like that. Her entire character and the entire plotline based around her wouldn't have been as bad if the movie didn't pick a side. Anyways, let's get back to reviewing this movie. Oh wait, oh god, I've talked about everything so far except for the Rose and Finn storyline. It's a really pointless story that goes on for about a quarter of the movie. Even people who like this movie do not like this side plot. The only defense I really ever hear for it is, the original trilogy also had a lot of scenes that ended up being pointless. One, those movies came out in the 70s and early 80s. People's attention spans were longer back then. And two, they were at least fun. Basically, they go down to a casino planet to find a code breaker, then bring him on to the big First Order ship so he can disable the device that allows the First Order to track people through light speed. Then leave that ship, get back to the Resistance ship, and blast off into warp speed. Wow, this plan sounds like it has the entire galactic debt of the Star Wars galaxy to one chance of working. People have reconstructed the stuff with Rey and Luke, the stuff with Holdo and Poe, and just a lot of other nonsensical things about this movie. But I really don't see that many people going over just how out there this plan is, and I really would like to know the writer's process when they came up with this plan. They hope to get down to the planet without getting shot down, which does work. Then they hope to find the code breaker, a person they don't have any idea of identifying, but they get thrown in jail and luckily find him, so this part of their plan works. Then they somehow sneak aboard the Empire ship without getting spotted. I don't know how they pulled that off, but this part of their plan works. But then he betrays them and they get captured. Oh my god, this plan seems so foolproof. And even if he didn't betray them, they would have to, out of luck, get off that ship and back to their old one. I mean, the fact that their plan didn't fail sooner is actually quite astonishing. Now, the casino planet itself looks nice, but it's pretty boring. Coming across the codebreaker by accident because they got thrown into prison? Holy shit, is that convenient. The social commentary about the 1% is just so awkwardly shoved in.
The First Order stripped our ore to finance their military. Then shelled us to test their weapons. They took everything we had. And who do you think these people are? There's only one business in the galaxy that'll get you this rich.
Yeah.
Selling weapons to the First Order. I wish I could put my fist through this whole lousy, beautiful town.
And I also find it weird that this message is being preached to us by Disney, of all companies.
This is like George Orwell's book, 1984.
The codebreaker stutter is just so unnatural and annoying. It just comes and goes. The alien horses were pointless. The slave children were pointless. This scene is the most boring and surprisingly most nonsensical part of the movie. But most people don't talk about how nonsensical it is because, well, they always skip this part. And I can explain why. Because it only exists for one purpose. It's to give us very clunkily added in social commentary. Anyways, after they get captured, they're saved by BB-8. It's kind of weird to think that this droid has a body count, and is also more useful than Finn. We get our final confrontation between Finn and Captain... Hang on, let me look this up real quick. Oh, okay, that's her name. And Captain Phasma. Okay, I guess they're bitter enemies or something. Did anybody care about this? Like, when was the last time someone who actually liked this movie said, oh yeah, the rivalry between Finn and Captain Phasma was just such a cool and integral part of the story. And Finn doesn't even get the win against her. Holdo, after ramming the ship into them, causes her to fall to her death. I can't believe I'm saying this about modern Star Wars, but wow, what an underutilized female character. Like, she seems to take up the same role as Jango Fett and Boba Fett. Boba Fett was at least taken out in a funny way, and there was a chance he could come back, and he did. And honestly, out of all of them, Jango Fett was handled the best. That's another point for the prequel movies. Aren't you happy that we spent more time on the casino filler than our fight with Finn? Because I'm not. Oh god, I just just realized something. I meant to review this in chronological order. But the character analysis of Luke, Haldo, and summing up the bland casino plot, I don't have much left to review of this movie before the final confrontation. Okay, let me just quickly go through the small parts that I missed. Rey and Kylo can apparently communicate with one another through this rift in time and space or something because they're a Force didact. Whatever that is. You know, I have so far defended every unique Force power these movies have introduced. But this ability is just way too off of what the Force can normally do. And it exists purely for plot convenience. Rey hears Luke's side of the story of what happened, but through this rift, she can also hear Kylo's side of events. I would be totally fine if they talk to one another telepathically, but they can physically move objects to one another in the next movie. This is just fucking stupid. There's this one pretty cool scene where Rey goes to the dark side of the island and she sees infinite mirror versions of herself. Then she sees two figures that look to be her parents. They fuse into one, and it's her. Oh my god, what could this mean? Well, she's the child of a clone of Palpatine. Huh? Yep, but Poe did learn a lesson from Admiral Haldo and decides to not look like a hero by not sacrificing himself. Wait, what? That's exactly what she did 5 minutes ago! So it's okay for her to sacrifice herself, but not him? He calls a retreat, but Finn isn't running. It's time to complete his story arc of no longer being a coward and facing danger head on. Even though he learned that in the last movie, but whatever. And then, right before he does, Rose pushes him out of the way. And this is why so many people hate this character. Okay, let's break this scene down. First of all, Finn was going at full speed and going in one direction the full time. How could she have caught up with him, turned, and knocked him out of the way?
Well, you got me. By all accounts, it doesn't make sense.
We see him still moving forward and all the other ships retreating. Was she just not in the camera view? Did she also turn around and just came back again and caught up with him somehow? Did he slow down? I don't know. It makes no logical sense. But of course, that's not even close to the biggest problem. Her knocking him out of the way is doing everyone. That laser is going to be fired. They're going to be executed. And the First Order with their small army will take over the galaxy. Again, why is it okay for Haldo to sacrifice herself but not Finn? They were almost executed just a moment ago. Now they're right in front of the First Order. How are they going to get back? Oh, they just do. What? They didn't have their ships anymore. Did they just sprint all the way back and avoid all those lasers? Did they get into a trench or something? It doesn't seem like there's a trench around them. Rose doing this really injured her and Finn, so there was a chance she could have killed them both. At the very least, one of them. I mean, after all, she did pass out. So this makes her chances of getting back even less likely. So somehow Finn, while covered in cuts and bruises, along with a few possible broken bones, just put Rose on his back and made it all the way to the base, while there was an army right behind him, shooting at him the whole way. Oh my god, Finn might actually be the most powerful character in all of Star Wars. Or maybe this scene is just stupid and makes no sense. Yeah, it's probably that. But I'm sure this nonsensical scene just had to be added in the script so it could say something important. Rose tells Finn that they need to fight for what they love and not fight against what they hate. Then she kisses him without his consent, by the way, so it's sexual assault, and passes out. Did they have that kind of relationship? Did I miss something? This scene is by far the worst part in the entire movie. I do not care if it was for love. What Rose did could have gotten the entire resistance, herself, and Finn killed. So to recap, this scene makes Rose the worst character in all of Star Wars. It's full of plot holes. It goes against exactly what Haldo did, even though they were saying this is what Haldo wanted for some reason. And most importantly, it took away Finn's chance to become one of the greatest Star Wars characters. Luckily for the Resistance, Luke shows up to fix everything. And we at long last get at least one cool moment with him after waiting several years. He gives Leia some dice, which these movies treat like it's supposed to be super important or something. They were just a prop on the Millennium Falcon. Most hardcore fans didn't even know what they were at first, so how would the normies know? He kisses his sister, but at least it's not on the mouth this time. He comes outside and Kylo orders all his men to fire upon him, but it doesn't do any damage at all. Now we do learn that this is an illusion later on, but at the moment I thought Luke was just super powerful like he was in the comics and became one with the Force or something. And also, is it just me, or does this feel like something from Dragon Ball Z? A bunch of lasers get fired at a guy, creating a cloud of smoke. The guy who fired the lasers thinks his opponent is dead, but then he either comes out of the cloud of smoke or the cloud dissipates, and it's revealed that he's perfectly fine. Kylo Ren, stupidly by the way, challenges Luke to a duel. Bro, you just saw what happened after he got hit by a bunch of lasers. What chance do you stand against him? He takes a few swings, but Luke is dodging them. Haha, you can't hit me, you can't hit me. But then he feels bad for Kylo, so he lets him get a free hit. But it turns out, it's just an illusion. Okay, this movie was shit, but at least the old director is coming back, and he's gonna make Luke do some cool shit, and okay, he's dead. Rey helps the Resistance escape by moving a whole bunch of boulders.
Golden Scare.
Wow, pretty impressive for her first time using the Force to move something. I mean, Luke couldn't even take an X-Wing out of a swamp with some training, and she had none of it. The Resistance finally gets aboard a ship, Leia finally hugs Chewie, and then they fly off. Oh yeah, apparently one of the slave children can use the Force. Oh my god, how can they possibly wrap up the story with just one more movie? The director is completely
This other guy
backed
crashed
into a
too.
corner. I have no idea why anyone at all likes this movie, let alone say it's their favorite Star Wars movie, because so far, this is the worst one, by far. But believe it or not, the next one is actually somehow even worse. Not even people who like Last Jedi defend it. The first movie, about 90% of people liked it when it came out. This one, about 50-50. Last one, I have seriously not met a single person who actually likes it. This was the only one of the three that I decided not
Just
to
walk
see in
away,
theaters,
huh? Let
and
me
I didn't
die.
see it until way
Fucking
after
dicks.
it came out. Like, even the advertising for this movie made me know it was going to be bad. Palpatine is back. He somehow survived after exploding twice. I guess all Jar Jar Abrams knows how to do is milk our nostalgia, and that's it. Also, thanks to the last director killing off Snoke, and him wanting to redeem Kylo Ren, I guess he just had to add him back in. Now in the comics, the Emperor did come back to life, but it was handled way better. Instead of his physical body still being intact somehow, he used a high-level Sith Force ability to reincarnate himself into a clone body. I mean, after all, the dark side of the Force can lead to abilities that some may find unnatural. It starts with Kylo Ren fighting on some random planet, and he moonwalk stabs a guy, kind of weird, and he gets a Sith holocron, something that's in the TV show and the comics, but never has shown up in a movie until now. He uses it to get to this planet that has chaotic weather. Yeah, apparently this planet is quite hidden and difficult to get to, and it's a major plot point throughout the whole story, until all of a sudden it's not difficult to find or get to. Kylo Ren finds out that Snoke was created by Emperor Palpatine. Oh my god! Let's never bring up this again! And he explains how he survived being thrown down several stories, exploding, then exploding again in a moon-sized space station, in the vacuum of space. He simply says, I survived, and that's it. Okay, Star Wars has never been exactly the most intellectual story ever made, and there are a lot of parts that are just dumb, but this single-handedly might be the most stupid thing in all of Star Wars. Suspension of disbelief can only take me so far. It's like J.J. Abrams thought to himself,
People seem to think that Ryan Johnson made the most stupid scene in all of Star Wars, with that scene of Rose stopping Finn from sacrificing himself. But I will make an even stupider scene in the very first part of the movie.
And now we know that death is meaningless in this series because Disney can just bring anyone back to life that they want. Like Han Solo, Luke, Mace Windu. Okay, actually, I would be totally fine if Disney brought him back. I mean, we didn't see him technically die, and Jedis have survived falls like this before. Oh no, wait, actually, never mind. They would find a way to completely ruin his character. And do we even know for sure if the Emperor is actually dead at the end? He survived worse than this. And he's not the only thing that's back. In the last movie, Anakin and Luke's lightsaber was destroyed, ripped in half by Kylo Ren and Rey, along with Kylo's helmet, but they're now both back. J.J. Abrams is like, Kylo Ren has this helmet that adds nothing to his character, but it looks cool. And Ryan Johnson is like, no, his helmet is now destroyed. It's
No,
gone
the
forever.
only one like
And J.J.
that is
Abrams
you.
just says, lol, no, I made him
fix it. It's back.
Who cares? It's just a helmet. That helmet looks pretty destroyed, and it wasn't a ship that got hit by the Holdo maneuver. Do ship explosions just repair things or something? Kylo asks Palpatine what he can give him, and Palpatine says, everything. He does the most powerful Force move we have seen in any of the Star Wars movies, and yes, that does include the Samurai Jack ones. Force lifting up a whole fleet of Star Destroyers that were for some reason buried beneath the ice. Yeah, these movies are all about style over substance, or basic logic. Where did these ships come from? Was the Emperor building them? Were they from his old Empire fleet and he just put them under the ice to be frozen so he could use them for later? Why would he do that, and why wouldn't he use them sooner? It's just, oh yeah, I forgot. The director of this movie never likes to give answers. Oh yeah, and apparently these ships' shields don't work in the atmosphere. What? Where in Star Wars canon was that ever established? Get them out of the atmosphere and put them into space, now. Oh yeah, now I get it. This plot point only exists so our heroes can win. So you know how the First Order is called the First Order, and there was also Order 66 that wiped out almost all of the Jedi? Well, this is Palpatine's final order. I mean, if you know anything about Star Wars canon, this makes no sense. So before Order 66, Palpatine had the First Order, which was to create another group in case he failed. And the final order was to either build or freeze all these Star Destroyers underneath the ice. This is just dumb. So then we cut to Finn, Poe, and Chewie, who are collecting information from a spy hidden within the First Order.
Golly gee, I wonder who it could be. It can't be Captain Phasma, she's dead. It can't be Finn, cause he's on their side now. So I just have no idea. It couldn't be the only actual person in the Fourth Order that we actually know, could it? Oh my god, it is!
Yeah, I have no idea why they try to treat this like a plot twist. You know, that's a pretty high-ranking officer that you got for a spy there. Aside from the Force users, I think he has the highest rank. There's an action scene between the Millennium Falcon and some TIE fighters. There's this one cool visual of an iceberg in space, and there's a scene that implies that Rey might actually be a better pilot than Poe. Chewie says something and Poe says, yeah, well, Rey's not here, implying if Rey was here, she could fly the ship better. Keep in mind, this is only implying things, not outright stating them. But at the very least, finally, at long last, we see Rey doing some training. We see her floating while meditating in midair. She's using the lightsaber, running, jumping, doing some cool parkour. Oh my god, this is just so beautiful. Why couldn't we get this until now? Oh yeah, so Carrie Fisher is dead, but she's still in this movie. And the way they have her in this movie is just awkward to say the least. They use a few pre-existing clips from the last two movies that they didn't end up using until now. There's some CGI, just the back of her head showing as a voice imitator gives the line, and every other character's dialogue is based around, well, what she already had recorded. I'll give the film credit for one thing, this is definitely one of the most strangest things I've ever seen in any movie. It's like that movie Weekend at Bernie's, if they were trying to use Bernie as an actor, and it was also done in real life. Yeah, this is such an awkward workaround when they could have just, I don't know, had her die in the last movie. She died before it came out, they could have just delayed it, changed a few scenes, and had Luke survive instead of her. Yes, it is extremely tragic that she died, but having her character be killed off would have been, better than this. But no, of course not. We have to have the woman outlive the two men. Rey, Finn, and Poe meet up and they act like they're super good friends, even though Rey didn't meet Poe until the end of the last movie. It's not like they're friends who've known each other for a long time or anything. Like sure, episode 8 feels like a sequel to episode 7, but episode 9 does not feel like a sequel to episode 8. I wonder how differently Star Wars would have been if both directors just directed their own sequel trilogies. And also, Rey didn't spend that much time with Finn. They knew each other for like a day. They spent the entire last movie being separated from one another so we could focus on Finn's relationship with, Rose. Yeah, it's not J.J. Abrams' fault for things being like this. It's Rian Johnson. But just because Rian Johnson up doesn't mean you can just ignore the damage he did and continue on like you did the second movie. The Resistance now knows that Emperor Palpatine is back. One of them says that's impossible, and I agree. And some guy says dark science, cloning, secrets only the Sith knew, when no, there's an entire war based around clones. Maybe the guy already knew this and he was just throwing out random theories. But I wouldn't be surprised with how dumb this movie is if a character actually believed that cloning was a secret that only the Sith knew about. The Resistance fully accepts this information, even though it came from a guy in the First Order. He could be lying to you. You know that, right? Rey, Poe, Finn, Chewie, and C-3PO are assembled as a team so they can find a MacGuffin that will lead them to Exegol, the planet that Palpatine is on. But Rose is not coming, and to be honest, J.J. Abrams, good call. They go to the desert planet of Pasana, and oh my god, another desert planet! This is the third one! JJ, you don't have to make every unique planet a desert planet. Literally, you could have picked any other biome. Anyways, an alien creature gives Ray a necklace. They ask her for her family name, and she tells it, I have no family name. Now, why was Ray given a necklace? Well, it's because it's convenient to the plot, of course. Now, I would have been totally okay if Ray and Kylo in the last movie were talking to each other and physically seeing one another. If force projection and force mind abilities are a thing, then it sounds possible. But they're not doing that. They're creating like a rift in time and space or something, and they can physically interact with each other and teleport items through this rift. Yep, Rey and Kylo hop into their private Force Discord server, and Kylo is able to physically get the necklace. Then he tracks down its planet of origin, and that's how he's able to find them. Like, honestly, if he just randomly came across them, that would have actually been better than this shit. Rey is literally only given something because it's super convenient for the plot, as nonsensical as it is. The First Order is stationed here. They could have just easily had one of them come across Rey, report it, and Kylo just tells them to attack. Sometimes a simple plot is better than an idiotic one. And guess what? A stormtrooper actually does come across them and report their location. But then he's shot in the face. No one in the crowd seems to react to this. I guess they're used to seeing people get shot. It turns out that the man who shot the clone trooper is Lando Calrissian. Wow, what are the chances? These movies really make the Star Wars galaxy seem more like a neighborhood. He gives them some information of where a Sith artifact might be found, and then he's gone. Our heroes steal a speeder, but then they're pursued by stormtroopers, who also have speeders that actually use wheels. And if you look into this, apparently they have wheels so they can go over rough terrain. Wow, it's almost like hover cars can do that even better by not even touching the terrain. But the stormtroopers have a new trick up their sleeve. They fly now!
They fly now!
They fly now! They fly now!
And yes, that is the worst forced meme that I've ever heard in my life. They crash and land in some quicksand. Luckily, it was already established that Rey can levitate with the Force, and she can lift up a whole bunch of boulders, so only a few people shouldn't be an issue. Right? Right? Yeah, she doesn't do any of that. They just fall into the quicksand. Okay, so do you guys remember when I did that full review of She-Hulk? How the writers would add things to the plot
She-Hulk.
only to forget about them a few episodes later? Well, this is even worse because they're forgetting about stuff they established only a few minutes ago. And yes, you did hear me right. Only a few minutes ago. I know it feels like the movie may have already reached the halfway point, but no, we're only a few minutes in. Yeah, the pacing is extremely fast. But I can actually answer why Rey didn't use the Force to get them out of this. It's because it's convenient for the plot to happen. After falling through the quicksand, they end up in a cave. Apparently, this is magic sand that you can fall through, but it's also strong enough to create the roof of a cave. It's pretty convenient that out of all the quicksand pits on this planet, they just so happen to sink through the perfect one. By the way, if it was just normal quicksand, would they be dead by now? God, all the convenient things that are happening for the plot to move forward are just so coarse, rough, irritating, and they're just everywhere. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. Finn, with the belief that he's gonna die, says, Rey, there's something I never told you, before he's cut off. What was he gonna say? Well, it's a good question for another time.
Good question for another time.
Yeah, it never gets answered in this movie. Some people thought he was gonna say, I love you, as cheesy as that is. And I believe it was later confirmed that he was Force sensitive. Wow, those would have been awkward last words.
Oh, J.J. Abrams, this is the last movie. You gotta wrap up all the plot.
Got it. You want me to add more mystery boxes, right?
Oh God, why did we fire Lucas?
They find the corpse of a Sith, which has a dagger which will lead to the location of the MacGuffin. Hey, assassin, I want to hire you. Here's a dagger in case you're killed so they can find my location. Apparently, C-3PO has the ability to read the dagger, but it goes against his programming to translate it to them. Okay, so let me get this straight. Anakin Skywalker built a droid that can read the ancient Sith language, but he also programmed it to not translate it for people. Seems like it would just been easier not to program the Sith language into him in the first place, but whatever. There's a big snake in the cave with them, but Rey senses that it's injured and manages to heal it. Okay, now, Force healing is common in the video games, but in the movies, it has never shown up until now. So let me get this straight. Anakin Skywalker, the Chosen One, the most powerful Jedi ever born with a midichlorian count of over 9,000, someone who has been trained by both Obi-Wan Kenobi and Emperor Palpatine in both the light and dark side of the Force, who sacrificed multiple people, including parts of his own body, spent at least 2 decades trying to find a force ability that can heal people, stopping them from dying, the thing he desired most and never discovered. Ray can just do it because f you. You cannot be serious. This whole story is just a bad fan fiction, isn't it? If there's anyone who is watching this that believes that Ray is not a Mary Sue, and they have watched the video from the beginning till now, please explain to me how she isn't. Oh yeah, and the snake knocks down a hole for them so they can escape. Haha, I always thought there was a whole lot of contrivances in this movie, but this one is a literal hole. Can we please have something that can move the plot forward that isn't contrived? So they find the dead Sith's ship and it's just sitting there. No one has done anything with it or to it, even though it's been sitting there long enough for its owner to compose into a pile of bones. They press a few buttons on the ship and they're ready to leave. But not just yet, because Ray has to walk into the desert. Yeah, that's it. Full stop. She just walks into the desert for no reason. Kylo Ren shows up in his ship and he's approaching her fast. He's about to hit Rey, but she jumps over him just in time. Whoa, this looks so cool! Bro, if you were trying to kill her, all she has is a melee weapon. Just shoot her from a safe distance.
But George mentioned that he doesn't want to kill Rey. He just wants to find her and get her to join the dark side.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. When I try not to kill people, I ram my ship into them. So why does this scene exist? Well, it's probably because it looks cool. And that's it. Rey manages to slice it with her lightsaber, causing it to crash violently. It's tumbling, and then it explodes. And shockingly, Kylo Ren is perfectly fine. Okay, you know what? It's canon now. Being on the inside of a ship when it explodes heals you. It healed Poe, it healed the Emperor, it fixed Kylo Ren's helmet, and of course this latest explosion probably healed him as well. I mean, it's a weird thing to add to the Star Wars mythos, but you do you, I guess. Chewie gets captured and he's put on a ship that is leaving. Rey uses the Force to hold it back. Oh my god, look at the size of that ship. The most impressive thing Luke ever did was move an X-Wing. But then Kylo Ren also starts using the Force to try to get the ship away from Rey. Finn does his best to stand there and do nothing. I don't know why he doesn't just grab a blaster and shoot him. But during the Force tug of war, Rey accidentally shoots lightning out of her fingers and blows up the ship. Yep, with no training and by complete accident, Rey just performed one of the highest level dark side moves. If you're an Avatar fan, to put this in perspective, this would be like if a firebender who had no training just suddenly shot lightning out of his fingertips. Now, have Force sensitives with no training accidentally used the Force before? Yes, but never to this level. But don't worry, I'm sure Chewie will be fine. So far, no one has been killed by a ship exploding around them. Holy he is actually okay. I was just making a joke. Okay, to be fair, he wasn't on that ship. He was actually on an identical ship that they apparently switched Chewie to off screen. Yeah, this is just a cheap fake out death. But I love how the movie makes it out to be that if Chewie was on that ship and it blew up, he would have been dead. Why?
He would have been
Something
dead.
like that hasn't killed anyone so far. So our main characters don't have the dagger anymore. But luckily, C-3PO remembers what it says. So they take him to Babu Frick. Yeah, this was one of the many workshopped names for Boba Fett. Like, have you ever noticed that in Star Wars the name Starkiller gets thrown around a lot? Like Starkiller Base, Bendak Starkiller from Knights of the Old Republic. It was the name of Darth Vader's secret apprentice from The Force Unleashed. And there's plenty more examples out there. Now you might be wondering, why is it such a common name in Star Wars? Well, that's because Luke Skywalker's original last name was actually Starkiller. I think at one point he was also supposed to be the wise old mentor, and Anakin Skywalker would have been his apprentice. Now why am I telling you this? Well, it's because I want to break from this review. God, Babu Frick is such a stupid name. You know, sometimes characters' names aren't used and they're workshopped because the original sounded dumb. Could you imagine if this was Boba Fett's original name? No one would take that guy seriously. And before you say, oh come on, you just got used to his current name. His current name didn't end with Frick. Anyways, Babu freaking Fricks is a droid smith who can allow C-3PO to read out the dagger. But unfortunately, by doing this, they will wipe out C-3PO's memory. So not quite a character's death, but close enough to it. And just like with Chewie, it's another fake out, because R2 backed up his memory. We just had one of these, why do two in a row? And by the way, this is just so contrived. Ooh, I can't read out the ancient evil language, or I'll lose my memory. Once again, this story just sounds like it's bad fanfiction. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe that anything even close to this has ever happened in the extended Star Wars universe. And of course, let's not forget about the scene that made so many many Star Wars fans' blood boil. Before C-3PO's memory is erased, he says, taking one last look at my friends. This line was in the trailer, and I remember a whole bunch of people saying, he better be looking at a picture when he says this. But no, he's looking at Rey, Finn, and, Poe. Yeah, that's it. Now, obviously, he's not saying that Luke, Han, Chewie, and the others aren't his true friends. However, he barely knows these people. If he got to know them, this would be a touching scene, but none of this was built up. Once again, everything is style over substance. It's like Rian Johnson just wants all these epic and emotional scenes without putting in the work to have them make sense. Also, a thought just crossed my mind. Han Solo was already an established character who we grew to love. But let's just say in The Force Awakens, we replace Han Solo and everything he did with a unique character. Would you actually care at all if he died? In this movie, Rian Johnson doesn't have just one, but two fake out deaths. One with Chewie and one with C-3PO. Do you think he actually wanted to kill off these characters and then Disney stepped in and said, no, we need them to make more money? Yeah,
when he makes fun of Mickey.
Killing them off so he can have an emotional moment. My god, this guy is a complete hack. Mickey, serious question, why did you hire this guy? It was either him or M. Night Shyamalan. Oh.
His Mickey Mouse voice is very good.
Now I get it. Yeah, that's a good call. Anyways, C-3PO reveals that the MacGuffin is on a moon of Endor. Right before they head out, Kylo's ship shows up. Rey senses that Chewie is alive on there, so they decide to put their mission of saving the galaxy on hold to save one guy. Isn't it amazing that Rey can sense Chewie when he's miles away, but she couldn't sense him when he was just a couple dozen feet away when she thought she killed him? But how are they going to get through the blockade? Well, the character Bliss, I'm sorry I didn't go over her, this movie moves way too fast. She has a First Order Captain's Medallion that will allow them to go right through. Why would something like this work? It could be a fake, or something they got off a dead soldier. Or, oh yeah, now I know, it's for plot convenience. Oh yeah, there's something I forgot to mention. So do you remember the Knights of Ren? I wouldn't blame you if you didn't, because they only showed up in one brief scene. Well, they're following our heroes. Yeah, that's basically it. Maybe they're waiting for the right time to strike, but they're certainly following them, that's for sure. Okay, so they managed to get aboard the ship. Remember when Han and Luke first went into the Death Star? They had to hide beneath the floor. Then they knocked out two stormtrooper guards, took their armor, and snuck around the base. I wonder if they're gonna do that in this movie. Oh, there's two stormtroopers walking right towards the ship, and Rey just shot them. And now the entire hangar is alerted to their presence. On the one hand, I am proud of J.J. Abrams for not just ripping off someone else's plot. On the other hand, the thing he used to replace it is stupid and nonsensical. Do you guys think J.J. Abrams only finished school and got the job as a director because he copied others' homework? I ask because every time he comes up with an original idea,
yes,
it seems stupid. Anyways, Rey abandons the other two because she can sense the Sith dagger. Okay, C-3PO already has it translated, so why do you need it? Well, believe it or not, it's somehow important. And for those of you who have never seen this movie, and this is the first review you have heard of it, get ready because it leads to the dumbest, most contrived, most nonsensical scene in all of Star Wars. Like, trust me, out of everything I've said in this video, it's the number one. Rey uses a Force mind trick to get two stormtroopers to tell them where Chewie is. No, I'm not calling this a Mary Sue moment because she's done this before. Poe and Finn shoot out all the cameras. I guess they do this so they won't alert security, even though security is already looking for them considering what they did in the hangar. And as someone who has worked security and has watched camera feed like this would actually make things even more noticeable, because the camera feed would say something like connection lost or something. It's hard to tell what's happening on all these different screens, but the one that stops showing the video and is just a solid color with some text on it, all you would have to do is rewind the recording a little bit and then tell everybody on the intercoms, yeah, they're right there on floor 8B, go get them. Anyway, speaking of the ship in the hangar, General Pride goes to see it personally. I have no idea why a general would do this instead of just sending one of his own troops. He inquires whose ship it is. I can just picture one of the stormtroopers telling him, "Aw, General, isn't it obvious? It's just some random person who showed us a medal." Surprisingly, this alerts security. I'm not saying it's surprising that a general seeing a ship he doesn't recognize alerts security, but it's surprising that a shootout in the hangar bay and security cameras being destroyed didn't alert security. So Han and Poe have to shoot down stormtroopers. A lot of them just stand there and get shot. shot, and they can't even shoot them while they're in a hallway. Yeah, I know they were also bad shots in New Hope, but that's because they were trying to let them escape. These guys aren't, and from what I've researched, the First Order are supposed to be the best of the Empire. How do they suck so much? Poe gets shot in the arm, and they're captured. Anyways, Rey finds the dagger and Chewie's bow. They're not locked down or anything, they're just there in the open. Kylo Ren calls Rey on Discord, and despite being presumably light years from one another, they're able to have a lightsaber duel. Darth Vader's helmet is knocked over, it lands where Kylo Ren is, so now he knows her location. Now could you take out this weird force rift through time and space and still have the plot be exactly the same? Yes! Because just like last time this happened with the necklace, one of his many guards could just call him and tell him her location. It feels like they added this thing in last minute. I mean, there's guards everywhere on this ship. Did not one of them call Kylo? Also, Kylo clearly saw her wielding the Sith dagger, so the helmet didn't even need to exist for him to find her location. Kylo Ren also reveals to Rey that while her parents are indeed nobody, there is more to her lineage. Poe, Finn, and Chewie are about to be executed, and they crack a joke. God, I hate Marvel humor so much. Now granted, they're extremely lucky to be executed. You might be wondering, wait, how is that lucky? It's lucky because they don't even deserve this chance. They were gunning down stormtroopers. They should have been shot dead instead of captured and then shot dead a little bit later. But they are saved by who?
I am the spy.
Hux. You what? Why would Hux do that? Wait a minute, he was the spy all along? The only other person in the Empire we knew actually turned out to be the spy? Wow, what a twist! Okay, I was wrong. Maybe M. Night Shyamalan really did work on this movie. It's pretty lucky for them that right before they were executed, they were saved by their one ally in the First Order, who just so happened to be at the right place in the right time. Nah, I'm joking. This wasn't lucky for them. Honestly, this is just normal stuff to them at this point. It actually made perfect sense for them to crack a joke right before their execution. They've already become self-aware. So many conveniently lucky things have happened to them that they know they're not in danger. But why would someone like him, who is with a very important position that he is risking, be a spy for them? Well, it's because he hates Kylo. And that's it. In the last movie, he was thinking about killing Kylo while he was knocked out, but he woke up before he had the chance. Was that really the only attempt he took? I'm pretty sure with how crazy Kylo is, he's gonna get himself killed eventually. This just seems like a huge unnecessary risk to his position. Even if his plan does succeed and Kylo Ren is killed, if it's ever found out that he did this, that could make him lose his position. And also, the whole plan is going to weaken the First Order. Like, why is this in this movie? Oh yeah, because it's convenient for the plot. Okay, so Kylo Ren comes aboard the ship, and he finally reveals something to Rey about her lineage. So remember when the first movie came out, we thought that Rey was the daughter of Luke Skywalker, who just had her memories erased. Or maybe she was the granddaughter of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Or at least she had to be related to some Star Wars character. And then Rian Johnson comes in to direct and says no, her parents were no one important. Now whether she's related to one of the main characters or isn't, I don't care. Now personally, I do think there could have been a nice compromise between the people who want their main character to be related to someone powerful and to the people who don't. It's quite simple actually. Just have Rey be related to someone powerful and have Finn discover he has the Force. But he's the one who's not related to anyone important. It's clear that Rian Johnson and J.J. Abrams wanted this story to go in two completely different directions. But Rian was the one who had the chance to make the call. And now Abrams is back to reverse everything he wanted to do. It turns out that Rey is related to Emperor Palpatine himself. Now to be fair, this probably did make Rian Johnson very upset. Yeah, Ryan, I bet it really sucks to have something that you love be twisted until it's unrecognizable. Ah, now you know how it feels. I love it when Kylo says, I didn't lie to you, your parents were nobodies. No, one of them was the child of Emperor Goddamn Palpatine, a grandchild of the Queen of England. Your parents were nobodies, but your grandmother was the Queen. Now, of course, this raises a lot of questions, like, who did it with Palpatine? I guess you could say that Palpatine did it. Like, yeah, I'm sure at some point in his life, Palpatine parked his Star Destroyer into a woman's hangar bay, and she helped him turn his lightsaber on. But here's the thing, Palpatine looked old enough to be a grandfather when Anakin was just a little boy, and Kylo is Anakin's grandfather, so how does this work? Well, a lot of people did point that out. So it was later retconned that it's not actually Palpatine's biological son, but a clone of himself, and Rey's the daughter of that clone.
At the very least, this somewhat explains why Rey is so powerful in the Force, but only somewhat. Rian Johnson and J.J. Abrams are like children. They're just playing tug of war with this trilogy like Rey and Kylo play tug of war with that ship. You can say whatever you want about the prequel trilogy, but at least it had a coherent story between all three of them. It turns out the reason why Kylo and Rey can call one another on Discord is because they're a Force dyad, two that are actually one. Combined, they should be able to defeat Palpatine. So once again, he makes a request for her to join him. But Rey once again puts him in the friend zone. She jumps out of the hangar onto the Millennium Falcon and they blast off. They escape into hyperspace and for some reason they aren't followed. No, I don't know why. Now since General Hux already did the thing that moves the plot forward, J.J. Abrams has no more use for him, so General Pry just kills him. Yeah, I think J.J. Abrams was just not happy with what Rian Johnson did to this character, making them into a joke villain. So now he has this new character that fills the exact same old role, used Hux as plot convenience, and now he's dead. Okay, we finally get to that moment with the dagger. Remember that one I told you to remember? Well, here's the oh so glorious payoff. They come across the remains of the second Death Star. Yeah, that thing. Remember how big the explosion was? Well, apparently there are still parts of it. It wasn't completely atomized. And it also apparently survived entry into the atmosphere of this planet. And if you want to say that it's made out of Beskar or something, which I don't believe it is, but it would have left a giant crater. And we're not even at the stupid part yet. Now they can't just search the entire wreckage for one MacGuffin. That would take forever. So how are they going to find the right place to look? Okay, so Rey, at the position she's standing in, uses the edges on the dagger and lines it up with the wreckage of the space station. Then she pulls out this, I don't know, ruler attachment on the handle, and it points to where the MacGuffin is on the ship. Wow, where to even begin with how nonsensical this is? So if Rey landed at any other place on the planet, she wouldn't be able to pull this off. Hell, if Rey wasn't standing at this exact angle, this wouldn't work. How did she even know to do this? How has the wreckage not shifted after all this time? Keep in mind, the guy who had this dagger killed her father when she was a child, and she's like, I don't know, 20-something? At the very least, it's been a decade or two. And let's not forget, they were only able to find this dagger by luckily sinking into quicksand and then coming across it. Oh my god. Wow. Who thought this was a good idea? I'm just picturing J.J. Abrams with a big smile on his face when this scene was in theaters. He probably thought he was so clever. Okay, so first of all, the fact that this map was even made in the first place sounds like it would require more effort than just remembering what room the MacGuffin is in. With how many things had to go perfectly right in Rey's favor for this to actually work? Well, let me put it this way. According to quantum mechanics, every now and then a molecule will change into a different molecule. So there is an inquantifiable small chance that a group of molecules that are all next to each other will change at the same time. Let's say you were spinning a penny and all the atoms it was made of started changing all at the same time, turning what was a penny into a chocolate. Now, while it is possible for a penny to turn into a chocolate, it is, however, impossible for a chocolate to turn into a penny. But explaining all of that would be a bit too off topic. Now, why am I bringing quantum mechanics into this? Well, I believe that the chances of a penny suddenly transforming into a chocolate is more likely to happen than Rey actually doing this. Yeah, I'm gonna say it right now. If the plot about Rey finding the dagger, losing it, then finding it again, the wreckage actually existing in the first place, it still being there after over a decade, Rey landing in the exact perfect location of the planet, and knowing to do this in the first place. If this was all replaced with Rey suddenly flipping a coin and it landing in her hand as a chocolate, I would say that this movie was actually more logical. So they can now go get the MacGuffin, right? Well, no, because Rule 63 Finn, and no, I'm not just saying that because she's black. She's also an ex-stormtrooper, and she's completely useless to the story. But let's be honest here, because she doesn't have dangly bits, she's probably better than him in every single way. She tells them that they can't go to the wreckage right now because the waves are really strong, but maybe it will be a little bit more calm tomorrow. At least they have the Falcon, so they can take that over the waves, right? No, because the landing gear are damaged.
Ow.
Oh no! If only the Millennium Falcon could float in midair or something. Oh wait, it can!
Poe could just drop off Rey and she could go get the MacGuffin. They stupidly all agreed to wait. Wow, these are the guys the galaxy is depending on. I'm just joking, of course. Rey boats over there by herself. Yep, the residents of this planet who have far more experience boating than she does. Considering she's from a desert planet, she's already better at it on her first try than them.
Guys, Rey totally isn't a Mary Sue. People who say that are just shit.
Rey enters the Emperor's throne room. Of course, it's still intact. But to be fair, it does make sense for a Sith artifact to be in this room in particular. She's attacked by a dark side version of herself from the trailer. We knew from the trailer that this was going to be a fake out, and it is. This scene is purely in here just for trailer fodder. I mean, I guess it's supposed to represent her fear of falling to the dark side, but, does anybody remotely think that's gonna happen? Her personality is more bland than a battle droid's. Something like that is way too interesting. Not only did they put this in the trailer, but they put it at the end of the trailer. Like it's the big reveal. And yes, that is legitimately the worst design for a lightsaber yet. Okay, granted, the Inquisitors flying with their lightsabers in Star Wars Rebels is even worse, but the design for it is actually incredibly smart. They just do something stupid with it. And finally, after all this time, Rey gets the MacGuffin. Then Kylo Ren shows up and destroys it. Yeah, it turns out he was able to find this throne room without the dagger. But to be fair, it is entirely possible that Palpatine just told him where it is. By the way, why is he alone? Shouldn't he have brought some troops with him so they could have captured Rey's friends? And yes, of course, the fight was really bad. Shadowverse did a pretty good breakdown of it. Go check it out. So Rey beats Kylo Ren and... Wait, hang on a second. No, Kylo Ren actually beat her? Yeah, I'm just as surprised as you are. The first time they fought, she had no training whatsoever, but he had a gun wound. She had a little help from Finn, and his emotions were extremely conflicted because he just killed his father. The fight didn't have a conclusion because the planet split, separating the two of them. In their second fight, they seemed pretty evenly matched until Kylo asked Rey to join him and Rey said no, and then she left. So I'm gonna be honest here, guys, it's actually hard for me to admit, but I was wrong. Rey isn't as much of a Mary Sue as I once thought she was. Okay, granted, she's still taking on a Master Jedi who had training in both sides of the Force without any training, which still is Mary Sue, but I'm still wrong. Rey never beats Kylo Ren. All those times I say that Rey didn't beat Luke, but Kylo Ren beat Luke, and Rey beat him, so therefore she could also beat Luke.
I was wrong. I was so wrong.
And as much as I say she never got any training, she actually got a little at the start of this movie. Granted, we don't know how long it was for, and she wasn't exactly training under a master or anything, but at the very least, it's something. Maybe if J.J. Abrams was allowed to direct The Last Jedi, he would have actually had Luke train Rey, which would lower her Mary Sue status even more. And if he was going in the direction that most people thought Rey's character was going, remember when
damn
we all
it.
thought she was
Fucking guy jacked me. I solved the puzzle and he just took the fucking opportunity and fucked me and stuck me here for fucking 5 or 10 minutes. Now I'm carrying this guy. This is the human race now. This is who they are. They're garbage crab people that just walk all over each other and diss each other. It's disgusting.
It's because she already knew those things. They were just locked away in her mind. But Rian Johnson wanted to take the story in a completely different direction. And it's his fault for her being a Mary Sue and not Abrams. I mean,
What is a Mary Sue, you fucking incel weirdo? Use normal speak.
That being said, Abrams still raises way too many questions, makes way too many references, and the plots he comes up with are super convenient, nonsensical, and just dumb. But Rey isn't as much of a Mary Sue as I once thought.
Smarter than you.
She could have never been one in the first place. Unfortunately, we will never know. By the way, Rian Johnson, fuck you. Half the mistakes in this movie are your fault. You completely wrote Abrams into a corner. But I'll get to the dynamic of the two directors more later on. Anyways, Princess Leia senses that Rey is in trouble. which is pretty convenient, but at the very least, this force ability was already previously established. She appears behind Kylo, calls him by his real name Ben. He drops his lightsaber. Rey picks it up and fucking stabs him with it. Rey, this guy has spared your life before. Jesus, return the favor. Okay, maybe she does have to be nervous about falling to the dark side. Anyways, Leia's dead. Wait, what? Yep, just like with Luke Skywalker force projecting himself, Leia does the same thing and it kills her even faster. Granted, it is mentioned that she doesn't have very much life force yet, and the actress for Carrie Fisher was already dead, so there is only so many ways they could handle this. But here's the thing, this is the third main character from the original trilogy that has sacrificed himself to help Rey. Okay, granted, Han Solo didn't do it intentionally, but his death did mess up Kylo's mental state and left him open to get shot. Once again, this is bad fan fiction.
And all the main heroes sacrificed themselves one after another just to help me along my journey.
Leia literally only got a word in. Anyways, Rey heals Kylo, and even though it was established that this drains her life force, she's perfectly fine. Rey and our heroes return home. Kylo sees a
Man, I've got like 4 quests in the zone left. Like 4 quests in the entire expansion. I think it's kind of crazy. Actually, I haven't spent any time in the other zone, maybe.
Wow, that's
Let's
actually
see.
way better.
Oh no, there's a few in the other zone, yeah.
Dumb. And Abrams, you were the one who killed him off. You can't blame this one on the other director. Now, it's established by Palpatine that every voice Kylo has heard in his head was him. So, is he the one who is doing this? And even if he's not, is Kylo just crazy? He's like Bella Swan when she was hallucinating Edward. Anyways, the hallucination from
Pedal
his own
slicer.
mind of the father
Ooh.
he murdered forgives
640,
him.
not bad, I'll
Aw,
take it.
His father forgave him, except for it's not really his father. It's a projection from his mind, so he's just forgiving himself. There are simple AIs who can write better emotional scenes than Abram. But it's still one of the better written parts of this movie. And
700 light.
Kylo Ren chucks his lightsaber into the ocean.
Let's sell those, actually. You know, I was gonna leave, but maybe I better sell first.
It's totally 100% going to be on him. Anyways, the Emperor contacts General Pride, and they decide to join their forces and one location so they'll be easier to defeat.
Whoa, I only have a few Star Destroyers, but you got like 1,000 of them. How about we join forces? Excellent. Come to this planet that is very difficult to get to, and its atmosphere will also turn off your ship's shields.
Whoa, maybe it would be smarter for you to come to my location.
Just do it.
Anyways, just one of the Emperor's Star Destroyers destroys Kijimi, which is a planet. Okay, so far these movies have been pretty inconsistent. They've made way too many references. Too many convenient things happen for the plot to move forward. The pacing is all over the place. The plot is just nonsensical, and it spits on the original trilogy. But this is the jump the Cartarian moment. Editor's note, put up a picture of the shark species from Star Wars. The worst part for Return of the Jedi for me was when they reused the Death Star. Then in the sequel trilogy, we had another Death Star that can blow up multiple planets. It was repeating a plot that was already done twice, but at least the way it worked did make sense for the Star Wars universe. I mean, after all, it was a planet that was absolutely covered in kyber crystals. You don't even have to transfer them across space, they're right there. But this goes against all the rules that the Death Stars have set up. Now obviously, the Death Star is a pretty stupid design. And no, I'm not just saying that because it can get destroyed by just one torpedo flying into the exhaust port. First of all, an exhaust port being able to be that small for a space station that big is impressive to say the least. In Rogue One, it's revealed that it took a lot of effort just to get the information to Princess Leia. Only a Jedi could pull off a maneuver like this, and the Empire thought they were all dead. So no, I did not have a problem with it being blown up like this. The second one was still under construction, and it had a shield protecting it.
Those Growthitune spores, where did I see those?
It was way too easy for a ship to get in there, but at least they had a shield protecting it. Each time the next Death Star is an improvement over the last one, but this is just way too much. The actual issue I have with the Death Star is it's just not a smart design. Why blow up the whole planet? You just need to destroy the surface of the planet, and that will require a fraction of the energy. Or better yet, shoot a few megaton level lasers at the cities. Now I have heard that a lot of the planets in the Star Wars universe are protected by a very strong shield that requires planetary levels of destruction to break. But this is never brought up in any of the movies, and I also believe in none of the TV shows. Now that being said, it's been well established that a planet-killing weapon needs to be the size of a small moon and have a lot of kyber crystals on board. So do these ships also have a large amount of kyber
You say
crystals on board?
900?
Are there even enough in the galaxy to pull that off? How can a ship this size hold enough energy to blow up a planet? And you know how the original trilogy, Star Wars Rebels, and Rogue One made a huge deal about how dangerous
Look
and
at
powerful
us,
the
200
Death
for
Star
this,
was?
yeah.
Well, now there's a whole fleet of them. Apparently, it only took a few decades to make a fleet of something you could only build one of. Yes, in our own world, technology does advance pretty quickly, but not in the Star Wars universe. But even if it did, the Emperor should know this. One, he's the Emperor, and two, he can see into the future. Just wait a few decades and we can build a whole fleet of them for a fraction of the price. Like, this is just way too much power creep. This would be like if Goku, after the Frieza saga, wished back Planet Vegeta, wished back the Saiyan race, taught them all how to use Super Saiyan, and during the Cell games, he just brings an army of Super Saiyans with him. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of power creep in the series, and during the Cell games, there's like 4 Super Saiyans, and Super Saiyan does become less and less important as the series goes on. But it would have been so much worse if this rare transformation was finally revealed to us, only for thousands of them to show up just a little bit later. Or if Naruto just made a whole bunch of shadow clones of the Nine Tails, and then they were all sealed away inside of the villagers, making all of them Jinchurikis. Or if Thanos gained all the Infinity Gems from all the universes, making an Infinity Gauntlet. Oh wait, Disney owns that. I better shut up to not give them more ideas. J.J. Abrams, I know you didn't like the Holdo maneuver, but this is even worse for the Star Wars canon. Why does the Emperor need so many in the first place? Where are we even supposed to go from here? A Death Star the size of Sagittarius A that can blow up a whole galaxy? This whole fleet makes absolutely no sense. And I have no idea why anyone thought it was a good idea to add it in. Stakes don't make a story good, and these stakes are so big that not even Nick Avocado could finish them. Anyways, where is Rey? Well, she decides to seclude herself on the same planet that Luke did, because she's afraid that she might turn to the dark side. This is well established in the story, and by well established, I mean we get one scene. I mean, I guess you could say she feels this way because of her lineage, but she's extremely familiar with Kylo and the entire Skywalker family. All 3 movies, it has been proven to her that lineage doesn't define who you are. She throws her old lightsaber into the fire. But then Luke's Force Ghost shows up. He catches it, tells Rey that a Jedi's weapon deserves more respect. She tells Luke that he hid away on this island, so why can't she do the same? And Luke tells her that he was wrong to do that. He explains to her that she's not actually evil, and he even gives her a second lightsaber. That was Leia's old one. Would have been a bit cooler if it was the green one, but whatever. But she burnt her ship, so how can she get back? Well, Luke's X-Wing is still on the planet. Oh my god, this scene only exists so J.J. Abrams can insult and reverse the work of Rian Johnson. Bro, I know you don't like what he did to your mystery boxes. This actually might be one of the most expensive pissing contests that has ever happened. Anyways, remember that MacGuffin that was destroyed? Well, Kylo has the exact same MacGuffin in his ship. Oh my god, there's more convenient things happening for the plot to move forward in this than the entirety of She-Hulk. I know I said that already, but it bears repeating. This also makes the entire search for the MacGuffin pointless. You can say that the casino plot only took up about a quarter of the movie. This thing took up more than half of it. Anyways, memories back. Because of course he does. Rey uses the MacGuffin to send the coordinates of Palpatine's location to the Resistance. And wait a second. The entire plot was about finding a map? That's just the recycled plot from the last Star Wars J.J. Abrams movie. God, he went from ripping off other people to ripping off himself. Anyways, the Resistance comes up with a plan for the final battle. Someone brings up the Holdo maneuver, but Poe says a shot like that is 1 in a million. What? Did you see how the Empire was reacting when she did it? They look like they knew she was going to hit them. And there's way more ships this time, so there's a much higher chance that they're going to hit stuff. Oh, this line only exists so J.J. Abrams can say he didn't like what Rian
that's
Johnson
way
did.
better.
Okay, well, Rian didn't do anything with the mystery boxes that Abrams
Wait, that's way
did.
better
He
too.
really tried to.
Fucking
He
awesome.
gave the continuity
My level went up
Abrams
way a
said.
lot,
Jar Jar
682.
Abrams is like,
Jesus.
No, that's not canon, and that's not canon, and that's not canon
No,
either.
you're like that.
This is
You're like
just the
that.
director equivalent of the debate between Trump and Joe Biden. Just 2 grown men constantly acting like children, but one is clearly worse than the other. Now, granted, again, Rian
Yeah,
Johnson
Trump
really
going up for
put
200
JJ
felony
into a corner that
charges.
he could not
Yeah.
fight his way out of. I mean, it's already been established that the Resistance fleet is...
Yeah, the guy going to jail, who was impeached twice, who was shaking Jeffrey's hand, who was
so large next time. Huh? Yeah, Ryan Johnson wrote you into a corner.
indicted and cited a resurrection and is a criminal. Yeah, one's way worse, yeah.
Well, instead of trying to change the canon that Ryan Johnson made, he starts changing the canon of Star Wars in general. So it turns out that none of the Star Destroyer shields work because they're in the atmosphere. Okay, why is Palpatine keeping his ships there then? He already moved one so far, why doesn't he move the rest of them? He has plenty of time. We've seen shields on droidekas, the speeders earlier in this movie, the Gungan shield, or in The Empire Strikes Back, the Empire destroys a shield generator that was generating a shield on land. Maybe shields just don't work on this planet's specific atmosphere. Then why build them there? And if you do build them there, get them into space. And won't the ships start to go up as soon as they arrive? Well, it turns out all they have to do is destroy the ship's navigational tower, and then they won't know which way is up. What? Okay, so I guess they couldn't go in the opposite direction of gravity, considering these ships do have artificial gravity on them, even though they're still in the atmosphere and they would just have to turn it off for a little bit. But assuming that takes a while to turn off and back on, they have windows they can just look. And also, they're already in the perfect position to go up. And why is the navigational tower on the fucking outside?
7,000.
If at the end of Better Call Saul, Saul transforms into the Incredible Hulk and goes on a rampage. It would still be a better She-Hulk show than She-Hulk and would make more sense than this movie. But even then, this plan would still be pretty hard to pull off. There are a lot of Star Destroyers. That means a lot of navigational towers and oh no wait, there's only 2. The Emperor has more planet-busting weapons than navigational towers. But even without shields, these ships are pretty big. It would take a lot of shots to take them down, and turns out you only have to shoot the underside cannon, and the whole thing blows up. So just to make it clear,
I kind of want to blow $7 grand on this greatsword.
Villains are colossal idiots. Apparently, this is the mastermind who somehow toppled the Republic. Okay, so Rey, along with the Resistance, shows up, and they spot the tower that has no shields around it. So what do you think they will do? A. Shoot a bunch of lasers at it. B. Fire a missile, drop a bomb, or launch a torpedo. C. Land on the ship, sending out a ground
4,000 for crosscut, hated.
Or D. Do the hokey pokey. General Pride moves the navigation control of the ship to his ship because apparently
it's
he can do
a
that,
nice
and the
sword.
decide to do C. Land on the ship, sending out horses.
My god, that's a nice sword. 7,000. 7,000.
Have some of their own ships that are already flying around. Shoot them down. B. Turn the ship because they still have navigation, so they can do that, causing all the horses and people to fall off. C. Send out
well, this is definitely an upgrade, but we're gonna keep an eye on Grey Swords. Sooner or later, a good one will pop. As time goes by, as each day goes by.
They send out red armor Sith troopers. Rule 63 Finn takes out a ship with a bow, then plants a bunch of bombs, blowing up the navigation.
This one's definitely an upgrade. It'll be nice because I can put a gem in it.
The Empire can jam their speeders. They only have 2 navigation towers. Oh, and Finn is getting ready to sacrifice himself for the 2nd time, and this time Rose won't be able to stop him. Anyways, we cut to Rey confronting Palpatine, and for some reason there's a bunch of Sith cultists. No, they don't add anything, they're just there. Rey wants to kill Palpatine, but Palpatine wants that as well.
Oh no, I want a leeching. I want a leeching glass on this.
His plan with Luke when
leeching.
he strike him down? Why would he tell Rey this? Wouldn't he just let her do it? And if he possesses
what,
her, that
what are these called? They're like, oh, really? Come on, man.
In a Disney movie? He's so gonna ask people to do it with him when he gets that body. So Kylo arrives, apparently found a ship or something. He shoots some guys, and he finally runs into the Knights of Ren. Holy shit, they're actually doing something. Oh, and his blaster randomly disappears for no reason. Gee, if only he didn't throw away his lightsaber. He starts getting the shit kicked out of him, but then Rey uses Force Amazon to teleport her lightsaber to him. So if Kylo still had his lightsaber, Rey would have never...
I can't see anything.
...lightsaber to him. So once again, this Force ability could have been taken out completely, and nothing would change. There's a part where he just holds his lightsaber behind him, and one of the Knights of Ren just hits it. Kylo kills the Knights of Ren. Wow, I'm so glad we waited 3 movies to see what these guys could do. Rey also kills a few Red Guards, and yes, both of these fights are horribly choreographed. I'm sure you guys know who to check out to see these broken down. Rey and Kylo meet up to finally take down Palpatine once and for all for the second time. But wait, if they kill him, won't he possess one of them? The movie doesn't care, so why should we? But then, Palpatine starts sucking them. No, not like that. He's sucking the life force from them. Being that they're a force didact, whatever that is, this will make him whole again. Oh my god, the Resistance is losing! Kylo Ren and Rey are about to die! All hope is lost! But then Poe arrives with some help. A fleet even bigger than the Resistance. Like, by several magnitudes. Including people like Babu Frick and the other people who were on the planet that blew up. How did they survive? Well, it's obvious. The explosion sealed them. Remember how hard it was for Kylo to navigate this planet with a small ship? Well, apparently this large
Wow, I got the
fleet
last
made it
invite,
through
huh?
by, I don't know. Maybe all the pilots were high on death sticks or
Let's
something.
go buy
Palpatine just shoots
a
out
cheap
whole
gem.
bunch of lightning, taking out several of the fleet's ships. Is this the Sith
I
ability
can't
for Storm?
buy
Why
gems.
did this movie have to be the
Oh
one
my
where
God.
it showed up in? This makes Rey upset,
Glitched.
so she reaches out to all of the past Jedi. One of the voices being Ahsoka Tano's. So yeah, apparently she's dead. This makes Rey go into the Jedi state, and this allows her to block fleet-destroying lightning with her lightsaber. Palpatine says that he is all the Sith. Wow, that's an even lamer line than unlimited power. Rey
Wait, what do
says
you mean
that
Uncharted?
him
I've been
is all
traveling
the
this.
Jedi, and
I've been traveling this all week. What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
back at him
Oh.
for all, meaning he now possesses her. Okay, I guess you could make the argument that he technically killed himself and not her, so therefore he's not possessing her and is truly dead. But still, that whole possession line was just dumb. But he's already survived exploding twice, so who knows? There's a chance he might come back. Rey dies, Kylo comes back, heals her, they kiss, and now he's dead. So when she heals him when he's on the brink of death, she's fine, but when he does it, he dies? Okay. I'm not going to complain about the romance between these two, because let's be honest here, romance in Star Wars is usually done terribly. Wait a second, don't Jedis disappear when they die? Anyways, Finn doesn't sacrifice.
What are you
himself.
talking
First,
about?
Jedi is defeated all over the galaxy.
Han Solo
It's
and
almost like this fleet that showed up to help at
oh
the
well, yeah,
last
with the
minute
Jedi,
showed
I
up
guess it does go
earlier
badly.
and
Yeah.
helped out. So many lives would have
Love
been
love
saved.
doesn't go
Like,
well
I
for
love
the
how
Jedi.
First
Yeah.
Order blew up 5 planets and they're like, nah, we're not going to help out. But then another planet.
Mainly
is
because
destroyed,
Sith
and they're
just
like, oh,
fuck with
shit,
them
we
and
better
kill
help
them
out.
all the
People are
time.
celebrating, 2 lesbians kiss in the background, which was of course taken out of the Chinese version. Chewie finally gets a medal, even though he deserves a ceremony along with the medal. Rey takes the lightsaber she has and buries them in sand. I have no idea why she doesn't put them in a museum or something. And no, I'm not saying that line about the sand. She just buried the legacy of those who came before her. And now she has a cool, unique yellow lightsaber, because why not? And to end off this movie, we get one more slap in the face. Someone asks Rey for her name, and she says it's Rey Skywalker, as the ghost of Luke
forgot
and
that I have a
Leia
horse.
look upon her. Yeah, sure, if I liked this character, I'd be like, yeah, but I don't. Oh god, I just realized this video is already over 2 hours long. I was only expecting it to be a little longer than my video on why I fell out of love with the Marvel Universe. I guess I just care way more about Star Wars than Marvel than even I thought. I do know that there are a few fans of the sequel trilogy out there, and a lot of them are probably going to tell me that I'm just a sexist man baby, and I didn't understand the deeper themes. To that, I have to say,
I do
that's
think
not
that.
an argument. One thing that is extremely
Yes, it
apparent
is, sexist
how
man,
these
baby.
movies made less and less money.
Go
The
support
Force
Trump
Awakens
more,
made
fucking idiot,
$936
as he goes to
billion.
jail.
The Last Jedi made $620 million, and finally, The Rise of Skywalker only made $515 million. Domestically, that is. But worldwide, The Force Awakens made $2.066 billion, making it one of the highest grossing movies of all time. The Last Jedi made $1.333 billion. Wow, that's significantly less. And Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker made $1.074 billion US dollars. Not only are they making less money, but that dollar is getting worth less and less as the years go on. To make matters worse, the first 2 movies had a budget of roughly $300 million each, but the last one had a budget of over $400 million, which is not including the advertising budget and how much of a cut the theaters take. But of course, the real money for Star Wars is the merchandise. Unfortunately for Disney, the new stuff isn't selling so well, except for Baby Yoda. Nikki, what was the plan here? Tax write-offs! Yes, of course. The only people I've really seen defend these movies are journalists or bread tubers or people aligned with bread tubers. People like Linkara. And are a few new fans of Star Wars who weren't fans before. As we can see with our own eyes when we analyze the data, the movies are making less and less money. So these people that Disney's pandering to don't really seem like they're bringing in the money because they're not the majority. In my video about why hate watching isn't a thing, I explain why this whole narrative of people who don't like these modern movies and films being a loud minority just doesn't make any logical sense. How can a small minority of angry incel man babies cause The Last Jedi to make roughly $700 million less, and the one after that another couple $100 million less? If Disney actually made these movies good and put the care, love, and respect that the fans deserved into them, sure, the first one would have made roughly the same amount of money, but I guarantee you the third one would rival Avatar and Endgame with how much money it made. The Lord of the Ring movies are good, and it's unsurprising that each one made more than the last. Same with the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies. I mean, look at those numbers, it's almost the reverse of the Star Wars movies. The actual Thor trilogy, with the first one, The Dark World, and Ragnarok, each made more money than the last one. And personally, I only think the third one is good. Even with the original Star Wars trilogy,
Two Dark Matter,
made
nice.
more than the last. Okay, not quite.
I don't know why you're going that
Domestically,
way.
6 did the best, but it had a terrible worldwide box office compared to the other two. And yes, if you look it up, it does say that New Hope made the most, but keep in mind, they did re-release it. So it did get an unfair boost, but I'm talking about when it first came out. Now sure, I could go over more examples, but I think everyone gets the idea. Good movies in a trilogy just keep making more and more money, and terrible trilogies make less and less. After Last Jedi, a Han Solo movie was released. To this day, it's the lowest grossing Star Wars movie by far, at least in terms of live action. And you can't use the excuse that it didn't make a lot of money just because it wasn't one of the mainline Star Wars movies. Because guess what? Neither was Rogue One. That made over $1 billion, and it didn't have a mainline Star Wars character like Solo. People came to see Rise of Skywalker because it had a huge marketing budget, and a lot of them did trust J.J. Abrams to do a good job with this one, and he clearly didn't. Anyways, before I continue, let me quickly recap these 3 movies. The Force Awakens is basically a retread of New Hope. We only get a few things that are different, such as Finn, who's an ex-stormtrooper. His character seemed interesting, and we wanted to see how he would develop. The only other unique thing were all the J.J. Abrams mystery boxes. How did the First Order come to be? Who's Snoke? Who's Rey's parents? Does the First Order want to rebuild the Empire or create something new? Why did Luke go into hiding? Who are the Knights of Ren? Rey seemed a little bit too good at things, so is there something more to her character? What happened to Luke's Jedi School? How many survivors are there? And just so many more. Then we got a new director, Rian Johnson. While the first one was something we expected, The Last Jedi was nothing like we expected. We got some of the new worst Star Wars characters of all time, like Rose, who has one of the most boring side plots with Finn, and during the adventure she feels like the main character and Finn is just along for the ride, literally in some cases. And she nearly gets the entire Resistance killed because, well, she's in love. Admiral Holdo, who creates a mutiny against herself because she won't trust her own men, some of which were willing to sacrifice themselves for the cause. But the film still portrays her like she's the one in the right. Honestly, I would have been fine if the film didn't make it clear who we were supposed to side with, and we could come up with our own conclusion. I was surprised to find out that this was all that was left of the Resistance. Like, I know 5 planets were destroyed, but I thought the Resistance was the bigger group, and the First Order was the smaller group, just made up of the remnants of the Empire who went into hiding. Or maybe the First Order is also pretty small, but this is supposed to be a galaxy-spanning war, so how does this make any sense? The top general in the First Order is now a clown, along with Finn because his story arc about being a coward, then finding his courage just gets repeated again. Okay, so the general is a goofball now. Well, there's still other people in the
Hi guys, I love you.
like Captain Phasma. Oh, she's dead. Oh, there's Snoke. I can't wait to find out about his backstory. Now, I do think you can use my main one is that he's Darth Plagueis Wang now he's dead. Well, I guess Kylo is the only one who's left. But it seems like they're still setting him up to be redeemed, even in this movie. He has a chance to kill his mother, and he doesn't do it. I've seen the sequel that J.J. Abrams made to this movie, but how would Rian Johnson continue this story? With the small Resistance only made up of a couple hundred people, get a few new allies, or would they not? There's a boy who Force
Amethyst ships some up.
So maybe they would have built an army of Force users or something. And the most logical thing that could have happened is that Kylo gets redeemed before the First Order is defeated, leaving just a clown of a general to lead the army. So aside from that general guy, all our main characters are either on the same side or dead. Yeah, to this day, I haven't seen a single person come up with a good sequel idea to The Last Jedi. Luke Skywalker is a completely different character, and some people like that. The majority of them seem not to understand his character in the first place, including Rian Johnson, saying in an interview that he thought Luke Skywalker was too perfect, and that he came across as a RPG character who reached the max level. So he decided to give the guy some flaws, but Luke was nothing like he described. But do you know who is? Rey. Sure, some moments of Rey on the island did look interesting, but that's about it. By the way, these movies have a huge time issue. The first one only seems like it took 1 or 2 days. Rey couldn't have been on that planet with Luke for that long, because at the same time the First Order is chasing after the Resistance, and they're slowly running out of fuel. Rey's parents were no one important, the Knights of Ren never show up, there's a few plot holes and inconsistencies, the biggest one being Finn and Rose landing right in front of the First Order's army and somehow getting back. And of course we have the Holdo maneuver, which did look cool, I will admit, but the fact that something like this hasn't been done until now is shocking. And now that it's been done, it's going to change space warfare forever. Oh yeah, and Luke is killed off. I can't believe I waited basically my whole life just to see Luke on the big screen again. Seeing his character completely changed what it was before, and explained away through events that really wouldn't affect someone like him in a way like this. The story really doesn't feel like it was pushed forward, aside from Luke, Captain Phasma, and Snoke all being dead. Yeah, this one could have just been skipped with the explanation that Luke, Phasma, and Snoke just died of a heart attack off screen. And now J.J. Abrams is back to give us Rise of Skywalker. Not only the absolute worst Star Wars movie, but possibly one of the worst movies ever made. It feels like this movie had a time skip of at least 1 year, which is good, but it's still probably the shortest galactic level war in the entire Star Wars history. The plot moves really, really fast. You're almost never given a moment to breathe or have a character moment. The story is mostly focused on these MacGuffins, and Kylo already found one of them.
You're saying MacGuffins too much.
But once our heroes have it, they just
You guys say MacGuffins way too much. It's not a common word. It's not a word you would normally hear a lot. Last 100 years, MacGuffins came up way too much in the last 2 years. You guys like heard that word, you went nuts on it. That word is not a commonly used word. Now I'm hearing it every fucking video. That's cool, it's slang, but it's bad slang because it's an editor's term that's usually a lot more technical than...
A whole fleet of planet-busting ships don't have shields, don't know which way is up, and as for the device they use to navigate, there's only 2. They literally just sit there and wait for the enemy to come to them. Generic X, Y, and A wings can take them out. A lot of the movie's focus is on undoing what Rian Johnson made. The sacred Jedi texts weren't burnt. Rey stole them. Rey's lineage is indeed important. She's a Palpatine. The Holdo maneuver had apparently a 1 in 1 million chance of actually working. And there's just so much more. There's like a ton of fake out deaths. Well, not exactly a death. C-3PO gets his mind erased, which is basically the same thing. Get it back. Babu freaking Crix and this one girl's whose name I couldn't be bothered to remember on a planet that blows up, only for them to show up later. I thought it was made clear that this girl was trying to leave this planet for years, and I guess she just left right before it detonated. Kylo Ren's ship explodes, he comes out of it, he's fine. He gets stabbed, Rey heals him, he's fine. Rey dies, he heals her, he's fine, but he's dead. Even characters from past movies like Palpatine come back. Is this guy the main character in all of Star Wars? Because he's shown up in all 3 trilogies. I'm pretty sure it was made abundantly clear that he was super dead. Well, he's certainly looking a lot worse for wear. He's still alive. And of course, the most infamous fake-out death is the one with Chewie. So they bring back all of these characters, but not Luke Skywalker. Are you serious? The plot is just wow. They need to find this MacGuffin that there's only 2 of. Kylo Ren easily finds one of them, basically off screen. So our heroes go to a location that was Luke's final lead. They conveniently land into quicksand that Rey can easily get them out of, but she doesn't, because if she did, they wouldn't find that underneath the quicksand is a tunnel that leads to another clue. It's a Sith dagger that belonged to one of Palpatine's assassins. It has Sith Sith writing on it that will lead to the planet that the MacGuffin is on. Apparently Siths give their assassins objects with information written on them that will lead them back to their location. But at least it's in a language that not even a droid can translate. Unless, of course, they want to lose their memory. Kylo takes the dagger from them, but C-3PO remembers what it says. They find a guy who allowed the droid to speak it. On the same planet, they meet this girl who gives them a medal, which will allow them to sneak aboard a First Order ship. But on the same ship is the dagger from before. They go to the planet where the artifact is. Rey stands in the absolute perfect spot. If she was anywhere else, this would not work. She pulls out the dagger, lines it up with the wreckage of the space station, which hasn't changed at all in roughly 2 decades. Pulls out this metal ruler-like thing from the handle, and it points where the MacGuffin is on the ship. But right when she gets to the MacGuffin... At that point, you're just saying a dumb word. I don't think you understand what it even means. Fucking idiot. But you hear it on all the videos, so you think you're clever, you gotta say it like everybody else. He announces his evil plan to everybody in the galaxy, giving them all time to prepare and patience.
I never heard that word till Marvel took the fucking... the helm. I never heard the word retcon or MacGuffin until Marvel.
I think this is enough for the recap. I thought there was the possibility that the sequel trilogies could have been bad movies, but never this bad. The 2 directors were just such opposites from one another. We can't know for sure, but it feels like they were given the worst combination of movies to work on. I wonder what this franchise would be like if Rian Johnson directed the 1st and 3rd movie, and J.J. Abrams did the 2nd. Or if J.J. Abrams did 2 and 3 instead, or 2 and 1, allowing Rian Johnson to wrap up the story. The only worst combination of directors I can think of that could work on a trilogy would be Michael Bay and M. Night Shyamalan. Now that we are done with the sequel trilogy, we can go over why Rey is a Mary Sue. But I want to keep this part of the video short, as I've already talked about this tons of times before, and this video is already almost 3
I don't want to hear what he has to say about Rey. I don't want to hear it. His little incel, like, there's a reason they won't sleep with him. There's a reason women won't sleep with men like this. I think the usage of the word retcon and MacGuffin all day, I think that's a pretty clear incel behavior, I would say. I mean, people use it sometimes, like, in a really normal sense of the words these days. They're popular words, but you guys use them every sentence, and that's how you can market. You can market people who think they're smart, but never really read any books.
unrelated topic, this video is brought to you by CuriosityStream. Get access to CuriosityStream and my streaming service Nebula, and watch my Nebula exclusive video debater theater at curiositystream.com/SarahZ. Hey guys, so if you're wondering why it's been a little while since the last video, you know how life just kind of happens at you sometimes, and then you kind of like realize that you're just burned out and exhausted, and just life stuff just keeps piling on and on and on, and just giving you more and more difficult things to manage in your life, and you just kind of hit a breaking point, and you just can't anymore, and you're fucking burned out about constantly producing content. So on an unrelated topic, mental health, am I right? On a completely, additionally unrelated topic, Dear Evan Hansen wasn't a very good movie, was it? So you might have missed this since, you know, nobody else in the world was remarking on this or making videos on this, but a couple months ago, the film adaptation of famous musical Dear Evan Hansen came out, and it was, in fact, not very good. Not only was it just a bad translation of the Dear Evan Hansen material, but it was also just a pretty bad film in its own right. And all jokes aside, the movie has been talked about by a pretty good number of great channels that have broken down a lot of things that are just very bad about this movie. Though out of all of them, the sequence where the speech goes viral and the YouTube video is titled, "His best friend just died, you won't believe what happens next," is still my favorite. But Dear Evan Hansen, for all its terribleness, isn't the only musical movie that's been in the news recently. On a much more recent note, anyone interested in musicals is probably hearing a lot right now after the new casting announcement for the Wicked movie, a film adaptation that's been in development hell for ages and is, it seems, finally starting to come to fruition. Both casting the casting of pop star Ariana Grande to play Glinda and that of Cynthia Erivo to play Elphaba have created a pretty big stir across social media, with lots of debates about things like how old the actors should be given that the characters start their story in university, and whether it's okay to cast primarily pop singers even if they have a bit of theater experience in a very vocally demanding musical theater role, and just generally what kind of choices you need to make while adapting a Broadway show to the screen. Dear Evan Hansen, for all its awful nature, isn't alone in its status as a very, very notoriously bad adaptation of a Broadway musical. Before you had the horrors of a graying Ben Platt trying to play a high school student and looking way too old and hunching over to look younger but actually just looking like a dog that swallowed a bee, you have the horrific CGI nightmares that were Tom Hooper's Jellicle cats. And I just want to talk about that because this somehow keeps happening. We just keep having these like weird train wreck musical adaptations that are just these embarrassingly bad imitations of the stage shows. Or possibly worse, we keep getting these adaptations that are, you know, perfectly fine visually and have impressive casts, but are just incredibly muted and forgettable. You have your Into the Woodses and your live-action Disneys and what have you. And the fact that these huge studios just consistently keep fucking this up is just fascinating. And, well, y'all know me. I love musicals, I love bad movies, and I love talking about adaptations. So what I really want to do for this video is essentially break down the Dear Evan Hansen movie. What exactly didn't work about it, and how each aspect of it got lost in the translation between stage and screen, and what that can tell us about film adaptations of musicals in general. So first of all, for those of you who haven't seen Dear Evan Hansen, what's this show's deal? So, Dear Evan Hansen is a musical that swept the Broadway world when it formally released in 2015. When the show started to get popular on social media, you'd have a lot of people erroneously thinking it was about a gay kid and then reading the actual plot summary and just fucking losing it. You know, Dear Evan Hansen kind of sounds like Love, Simon enough that people often mix the two up, and Ben Platt is gay and it's Broadway. And there was a pretty big subsection of fandom who did do a lot of gay shipping, and like, I get it, but no, this one's straight. So, and a warning for the rest of this video, mental health and suicide are going to be referenced throughout, just because that is what the story fundamentally is about. The show focuses on a character named Evan Hansen, or if you're RuPaul, a character named Dear.
I saw Dear Evan Hansen on Broadway, and Ben Platt, who plays Dear, he gave everything.
Evan comes from a lower middle class family and suffers from severe anxiety, and we later learn that he had tried to take his own life a couple months before the show begins, which is the reason we see Evan's arm in a cast during the first arc. He struggles a lot with learning to interact with his peers and doesn't really have any real friends or hobbies outside being scared to talk to the girl he likes, Zoe. Back at Zoe's house, her family is also dealing with a lot of dysfunction, her own brother Connor being very mentally unstable and violent. Evan has to write letters to himself as a therapy activity, and he writes this very sad one to himself that references Zoe and his own mental health struggles, and prints it out at school where it is stolen by Connor. Evan later finds out that Connor has killed himself, and find this letter on him and erroneously believe that their son wrote the note, and Evan and Connor are therefore best friends. He keeps trying to tell them the truth, but gets strong-armed and interrupted the first time and is too anxious to speak up the second time until he ends up going along with the lie. His family friend Jared ends up helping him fabricate email exchanges between Connor and Evan pretending they were friends, and Evan starts deceiving Connor's family, including Zoe. For a while, Evan has a really idyllic life by playing along. He gets to feel at home among this wealthy family who are now essentially treating him as a surrogate son. He ends
What's up, number two?
Zoe, and he becomes popular at school and goes viral due to his perceived connection with the kid who died. We also see a few interactions with the character of Alana, a girl at Evan's school who is extremely involved with extracurriculars and helps Evan set up a charity foundation in Connor's name. Her own life and struggles aren't super explored, but it's pretty heavily implied that Alana is also either suicidal or just mentally ill in general, and is using her involvement in a lot of extracurriculars to hide that fact. In any case, Evan is able to maintain the deception for a while, but ultimately he cracks the pressure to keep a bunch of lies going, the online abuse Connor's family is starting to receive, and his straining relationship with his own mother, and ends up confessing his deception to Connor's parents, Zoe, who then no longer want anything to do with Evan. Eventually, he loses the benefits that he
Thank you, number two. I appreciate it. Yeah, like, you know, you're part of it.
Originally a song in it called Going Viral that quoted social media posts and apparently was reminiscent of Justin Bieber's Sorry, which later got cut. You can find some performances of it now, and it references some really dated stuff like the UGG trend and Halloween bit my fingers, so probably a good movie. It was called The People Project at first, and Heather Barrett Wilbur-Reed was going to be in it, but by and large the show and the rest of the cast mostly remained the same throughout the readings, something that isn't super common with a lot of Broadway shows. One notable exception, which will get touched on more a little later, is the character of Alana, who went through a different actor at every reading. They were apparently having trouble kind of finding the voice for the character and who they wanted her to be, a problem that honestly kind of never really got resolved and shines through most performances and adaptations of the show. When they started actually staging it, it didn't work for a lot of audiences, poorly enough that apparently the show's creators were close to completely shutting down the project. It's not uncommon for shows to go through changes and rewrites during their preview period. That's essentially what the whole period is for, but the fact that it really wasn't working to that extent is interesting. The justification for making rewrites instead of just dropping the show is extremely funny, though. According to Justin Paul, one of the 3 people who wrote the show, we were like, we can't do that to Ben Platt. Like, Ben Platt is like a sad little Victorian orphan they adopted, and they're like, we cannot take sickly Benjamin.
Nice, 2 legendaries.
Show from the township, not when he is consumptive. So they kept rewriting and reworking, and in the case of Alana, recasting until they finally had a finished show. And this thing was a huge fucking hit. Dear Evan Hansen officially opened to a wave of positive reviews, praising it for a variety of different reasons. The inventiveness of incorporating social media and social media virality onto the show, its representation of anxiety and broader mental health concerns in general, the relationships between all of the characters, in particular, that relationship between Dear Evan Hansen and his mom,
Stoke the flames!
The contemporary music, and the emotional resonance many people felt that it was able to create. Not only did it bring in a significant amount of praise in a variety of newspapers and in terms of attention and ticket sales, it also performed very well at the Tonys, which had the musical up against a number of other quite good shows. Dear Evan Hansen was nominated for 9 Tonys, including Best Musical, and won 6 of them, also including Best Musical, which I'll talk more about my actual feelings on the show later, but I think is pretty interesting because for all its praise, pretty much all of these shows, at least in my opinion, are better than Dear Evan Hansen. Like, Groundhog Day I get not winning. It got a good 8 nominations that year, but didn't really sell a lot of tickets or catch a lot of attention, and it's good, but it's also not, like, an original concept. But Come From Away, and especially Great Comet, are just these incredibly visually and technically impressive and also just good shows, and so to see a show about a high schooler with some fairly simple characters and a pretty basic pop soundtrack beat out the others was a bit strange. At the very least, it was a testament to how popular Dear Evan Hansen had gotten. And while that popularity also comes in the form of glowing reviews from journalists and award success and general praise for its whole concept, it also gained a pretty big fandom across social media platforms that were largely popular with
Ooh, 695.
especially apparent in the
It's cool looking too.
fics or fan art or animatics, usually pairing Evan with Connor Murphy or to a lesser
I'm gonna just wear it. I think it's cooler.
Jared. Of course, Connor and Evan only get that one very brief interaction in canon, and most of the musical is just
Nice, new sword.
pretending to have been friends with Connor, but for a lot of people, that immediately begs the question of, well, what if Evan actually had been friends with Connor? What if they ended up getting together? So you'd see a huge ton of media in that teen fandom niche, either about Dear Evan Hansen or just really about Evan and Connor. Dear Evan Hansen enjoyed quite a lot of success and popularity for quite a while after its inception, but one of the things that This video is brought to you by Audible. Visit audible.com/SarahZ or text SarahZ to 500-500 to get 1 month of Audible for free. In 2006, Mike Judge released a film by the name of Idiocracy. Taking place in a dystopian future hundreds of years after our own, the film centered itself around the premise that humanity was moving in a dumber and dumber direction. It told the story of Joe, an average human played by Luke Wilson, who was accidentally frozen for hundreds of years only to escape and discover a world that has become profoundly stupid. Essentially a fascist state largely propped up by megacorporations, the world caters to the lowest common denominator. Fast food, sex, and violence are the cornerstones of this society. People drink sports drink instead of water, legal cases are determined based on vibes, and everything is bigger, simpler, and more expensive.
What I do is just like, you know, you know what I mean? Like,
Most notably, because there are no more smart people, the world's problems seem to have worsened with no one around to solve them. Landfills pile up with no strategy on how to deal with them, no one remembers how to grow crops anymore, and the economy is in a constant state of decline. The film's release was marked with challenges. 20th Century Fox, the company producing and distributing it, seemed totally uninterested in Idiocracy's success. Fox allegedly felt that Idiocracy's premise didn't test well with audiences who wouldn't understand or appreciate its humor, or with advertisers whose brands were largely portrayed in a negative light throughout the film, and so did little to no work promoting it.
I was telling everyone, this is the big one. Maya Rudolph, Dax Shepard, all these guys, Stephen Root, Mike Judge, it's gonna be great. The creator of Beavis and Butthead. The rumor is that because we use real corporations in our comedy. I mean, Starbucks was giving hand jobs, and these companies gave us their name thinking they were gonna get pumped up. All these real corporations were like, wait a minute. There were a lot of people who were like backing out, but it was too late. So Fox, who owned the movies, decided we're going to release this in as few theaters as legally possible.
The studio allegedly considered continually postponing its release. Trailers were not shown for the film, the studio released only 2 promotional stills for it, and it ran in only 6 cities across the
I've got a
United
red
States.
sword.
Despite its very limited publicity,
sword.
Idiocracy released to generally positive reviews and quickly developed a cult following. In particular, it was praised for its incisive satire and social commentary. The film, which was written and released during the Bush era, was for many people the perfect encapsulation of a world run by its dumbest citizens, and its portrayal of for-profit healthcare and corporatocracy taken to a heightened extreme resonated with audiences. For years, Idiocracy remained a film that, while rarely on the list of viewers' best films, represented a satirical look into American capitalism and Bush-era nonsense, and was generally well-liked by audiences that enjoyed poking fun at, from their perspective, the less intelligent. But then 2016 happened. Exactly 10 years after the release of Idiocracy, Donald Trump was elected president, and the return to Idiocracy as a cultural touchstone was massive.
It
2016 saw think pieces about how the film was not only incredibly prescient, but now essentially a documentary, with some of its absurd satire hitting a little too close to home. Judge, as well as most of the film's cast, were full supporters of this notion, with Judge in particular repeatedly remarking on how Idiocracy had essentially become reality. He even famously remarked that the only reason he wasn't a prophet was because he was off by a few hundred years. In the words of film writer Ethan Cohen, "I never expected #Idiocracy to become a documentary." Writers often pointed out parallels between the world of Idiocracy and present-day America, though usually through a series of out-of-context recaps about the film's plot. Particularly frequent were comparisons between Trump and the ex-wrestler President Camacho in Idiocracy, played by Terry Crews, though parallels were also drawn.
What's up, MJ Ripshots? How you
refusing
doing?
to believe that water is better.
Oh, doing pretty good. How are you doing? Doing pretty good. Playing some New World. Getting this money. Doing pretty good. Doing pretty good. Cooldown reduction. Wow. Okay. Yeah, I'll take cooldown reduction, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, MJ, man. That sucks. Well, I hope you get better. You're not the first person I've heard that's mentioned COVID this week. And, yeah, it appears maybe we got another round of this coming. I wonder maybe if, my throat was really, really bad last week, and I wonder if I had COVID and I didn't know it. Really bad. I'm talking like I couldn't talk. Like 2 days ago, I screamed myself out, but like last week, I had a very sore throat, and I wonder maybe if I had just gone through my COVID. I don't know, though. Yeah, this is good, but I'm done with this now. Why is it so hard to leave a raid? Let's go. Yes, leave. Yep, there we go. And then... Now what? I have a new sword. It looks fucking awesome. Its eye level is super high. Like 695, man. This shit was dope. I probably could have gotten, 5,000 gold for this or something. 5,000 gold, I think, but I equipped it right away. I missed what you said. I'm sorry. Give me just a second. You said, oops, make it bigger. It's going around again. Yeah, let's go look in the news real quick, huh? Because I have not been paying attention. I'm ahead and, I'm one of those people, they're very rarely will admit, full-blown, pridefully admit, I got my head up my ass, I got my head in the sand, I got my head so far up my ass and buried in the sand that I don't know what's going on in the world at all. I try to pay attention, but I don't get outside much, and I don't know what's going on in the world. So let's go see COVID news, right? Like today, and just see, yeah, the risk assessment and stuff, and yeah, they made Channel 4 News, CBC News, Fox 26, PBS, I believe, until this one pushed me over the edge, coronavirus COVID treatment. I'm not seeing anything too pertinent yet, but yeah, I think it's kind of going around, yeah, COVID, Megcram, Trump and COVID, 4 weeks ago, numbers of this, and here we go.
From the White House to concert and sports.
So this was from 4 weeks ago, but yeah, I mean, I suppose that's basically prevalent. Right now it's October 5th. So this is from September 5th. I think it's fairly close enough.
Arenas, even daytime TV. A reminder that COVID-19 has not gone away.
Sorry,
As
can
health
you see
experts
this?
say
You
a
probably
late
can't.
summer wave of
There we go.
cases
Sorry,
is
there we
now
go.
leading to an uptick in hospitalizations, though still well below pandemic peaks.
We
That's good. It's below.
haven't reached a predictable pattern with the virus. That's why we have to care, and we're seeing incredible
Yeah, I don't think so. I haven't either.
mutations and changes in the virus.
Among those now on
Yeah, I have not heard of anybody having COVID recently. No, not in my friends or family or personal life. Now, my family is old, so they don't get out that much. I mean, they go to doctors' offices and stuff, and they go swimming and shit, and they're kind of active for their age. But yeah, they are social. So my family's kind of social, but they haven't been talking about COVID around me. I don't think any of their friends or family probably pertinently have it. So, but I think it's coming on now.
second round with the virus, First Lady Dr. Joe Biden, who's experiencing mild symptoms, we're told, and staying in Delaware.
President Biden tested negative last night for COVID-19 and tested negative again today. He's not experiencing any symptoms.
That diagnosis led
That's
President
good.
Biden to break out a face mask during a Medal of Honor ceremony.
My red
Tuesday
sword is
before
so
later
cool.
As
Yeah,
some Americans are choosing
badass
once
red
again, it's
sword.
time to cover up in public.
Red sword, $6.95. Yeah.
Not here. She has COVID.
The View's 27th season kicked off without moderator and co-host Whoopi Goldberg. The U.S. Open is underway, missing the often colorful commentary of tennis legend John McEnroe. Even heavy metal rockers Metallica forced to reschedule a show in Arizona. All disruptions from a virus that most experts don't think will leave us anytime soon, if ever.
Man, how old is James? He must be 68? No, 58? Yeah, 58. 58, I think. 60?
Does this just underscore how persistent COVID?
Man, imagine being 60 and rocking Metallica crowds. You got to be on supplements and, diet and yoga.
COVID is?
It underscores that this is a novel virus
I could do it, but I would need help. I would need AIDS.
that's trying to survive.
The good news, the FDA says existing at-home tests can detect new variants. And the CDC could vote as early as next week to approve new boosters, which experts say everyone should consider, even if you're...
Fuck, are they going to do another round of boosters? It's so annoying. Like, makes your arm hurt all bad the next day. And you're like, man, did I just shoot up COVID? You're like,
young and healthy.
The trick is to just stay ahead of it and to keep rates low enough so that we can enjoy our lives without being
dying.
bothered by it all the time.
Yeah, without dying.
Okay,
Yeah.
one thing doctors are still actively studying and concerned about, the effects of long COVID. People who've had COVID.
Well, I'm here, buddy. If you're trapped inside, I'm here. I mean, I'm logging here eventually, but here at some point here because it's kind of late for me. But tomorrow I'm on, all day. So if you need something to watch.
For a very long time. Experts say sometimes people aren't getting diagnosed properly, and they're still trying to determine the guidance for what to do if you experience it. Craig, one of my best...
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, it's been a little while now. It's been like a year since COVID's been bad. I don't think going out to a party is that bad anymore. But I mean, yeah, I guess I could get it that way. I don't really do masks anymore, but I am a mask guy just because I don't believe in the spread of disease. I thought it was weird how a lot of the country seemed to dislike the idea of masks. I wasn't into the idea of them forcing anybody to do masks. I was encouraging them to do masks, but I wasn't into the government forcing anybody to do it. I didn't mind if anybody didn't wear masks at all. I didn't care if anybody didn't wear a mask. I just mainly, I like masks during a pandemic. I think they're a good thing, But yeah, going to a party, I think these days I'd probably be wearing a mask the whole time, which kind of sucks, I used to work jobs where you would get sick all the fucking time. Like, I was a cashier. So these dirty, grubby humans come in with their dirty, grubby money. And they hand you their dirty, grubby money, and there's flu and colds and cocaine and speed all over it and heroin and shit. And you're like, and sure enough, every flu season as a cashier, you're out a lot. You're out 2 or 3 times a season. It's fucking annoying. I remember dealing with it. Man, I look fucking weird. I like this place. It's like kind of red and dark. It's like pretty trippy. There's like a level 65 rift right there. Yeah. Yeah, because like, you know, it's just, you're just sick, you know, you're just sick, you know. A lot, because the people come in, like any job where you deal with the humanity a lot, you know. Party, you're exposed to whoever's there. They're all breathing the same air, and yeah. But anyways.
Best friends from Denver. He's had it now for 3.5 years. It is utterly debilitating. Our thoughts go out to those folks.
Yeah, my wife as well. Long COVID for a couple of years now. Tom Costello for us there.
Wait, long COVID?
In DC. Tom, thank you.
Hey, thanks for watching. Don't miss the Today Show every weekday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 Pacific on our streaming channel, Today All Day. To watch,
man, I see Al Roker and I think, man, sorry, you said any job where you have to deal with people sucks. It does.
I'm Savannah Guthrie alongside Matt.
So hold on just a second here.
That's exactly how you have to have a certain amount of distance between the bodies in junior high.
Yes, like they say in Catholic school, leave room for the Holy Ghost. Anyway, there is a lot of memories today, actually. It's a big day in music history.
35 years ago today, Elvis Presley passed away, the king of rock and roll. And as Mark Cohn says in his great song, Walking in Memphis, there's a pretty little thing waiting for the king down in the jungle.
The Al Roker bot froze. Reset him. The Al Roker AI had a bug in it.
For crops than energy drinks and modern-day climate change denialists. As Cruz put it, the film is
so prophetic in so many ways. It actually
I better just warp out,
The
yeah.
2016 election and ensuing everything cemented Idiocracy, previously a mildly popular cult classic satirizing life under Bush, as a cultural touchstone. And with it came the heightened prevalence of referencing Idiocracy less as an actual work itself and more as a concept. Idiocracy is literally a documentary has become an increasingly popular adage from members of all sides of the political spectrum, used in response to anything from Trump's...
You know, it was good. It was not as good as Brimstone, I would say. Because Brimstone had you do this pretty long, wide, long, complicated, high level, harder barrier challenge thing. Do the wide circle all the way around the city, right? And I think this was a really good expansion. But as you can see, it's a bit split apart. They have kind of a higher level zone full of portals here in Creekwater, and the Creekwater is like the new Shattered Mountain, but nobody's running it yet because it's probably fairly difficult. I would imagine some of these corrupted portals. Oh no, wait, I'm sorry. Look at Morningdale, but yeah, in Creekwater, yeah, there's all these portals and stuff that are 65. And I think the portals in I guess they're the same thing. Shattered Mountain and Creekwater are the same thing. So this is kind of a dead zone in the respect that most of the time you don't do anything here. All of the content of the expansion was here in this zone, and hopefully I'm in the right video here. And like it started here, and it kind of went like, you know, it went like brr. It started here, and it like went like, you know, brr 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 brr. Oops, brr 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 brr. It ended about here is where everybody hit 65. So it was a pretty good line, but I did it in 10 hours. For $30, it was like 10 hours of this, and I was done. I was like 65, and I had a artifact chest piece, featherweight, and I've got a few other like artifacts sitting in my bank too. The loot's been pretty plentiful, as you can see. It's been pretty good. I would say I'm one of the higher eye levels on the server right now. I got there faster. I can see there was about 50 of us that got there faster, and I was one of them, and it was good. It felt pretty good. I definitely was out DPSing everybody in that portal section. All 40 of the people that were there, I did the most damage in the raid. I could tell right away when I was killing. When I was hitting the mob, it was like it was chunking them for half their bar. Everybody else was doing little piddly hits. So now I'm high eye level. I'm like 683, and I think like the max is 725. 683 for day 2 of the expansion's pretty fucking high, I think, but it's not that high. It's as high as it basically gets without running mutated dungeons. So the mutated dungeons are new content that's good. The mounts was a needed change, but it's kind of clunky and it's sort of cash grabby a little bit. It's good. They have some races a la Dragonflight. That was pretty good. And, like, the content's pretty good. It was a cheap sort of one-and-done expansion. I don't think it'll be as remembered as fondly as I think this will be kind of like a Passover expansion a little bit sort of like the Burning Crusade, except the Burning Crusade was a pretty big expansion, but the two big ones would have been Classic and Wrath. And so, you know, I would say Wrath was actually Brimstone, and I didn't know it. And now I'm kind of in like a TBC expansion where, yeah, this weapon is like pretty, it's pretty high eye level. Like right now, probably the highest eye level sword on the server is probably like 710, right? And I'm 683, so I mean I'm only like 17 off from probably the top greatsword guy here. And that'll change within 2 days, 1 day. It'll change within 1 day when I slow down and they keep going. It'll change. But right now I'm like on top of the server. I can tell I was the top DPS in that raid. I was just in. I'm dead serious. I was doing the most damage there. I was wiping entire things by myself and so, like, yeah, and definitely the expansion did something for public raids, which is a very good thing. What I want from these new MMOs is public raids, and the public raid that I just went to was exquisite. There was no FPS slowdown the entire time. There was like 50, 60 people. There was no problem, and that was a really good change. Now, like 2 days ago in Brimstone, the frame rate was like, 40. And there was definite slowdown, and it definitely sucked. And I'm sure with 200 people it'd be worse, but like they definitely did something to the server infrastructure now in the eyes of public rating. And I think if they embrace that part of their nature and they start doing better ECRs and more portals and stuff, like for instance, I've noticed there's no portals in this zone right now, which is kind of weird. Like, there's tons all over this zone, but there's none in this zone. And so I imagine eventually there will probably be portals in this zone. And that's when the expansion will probably become really pretty cooky. Like, it'll start to cook. It'll start to get hot. Because like, running all over these zones in big packs of horses, killing, like, these red portals is a fun fucking time. You saw me doing it there when you first came into the stream. It was fucking fun. And so we've been doing that for, like, a year and a half in Shattered Mountain. Now we're going to be doing it in this one here, Creekwater. And I'm looking forward to it. But really, there's like, no new content. There's nothing. They're not reinventing the wheel. They didn't like do more of the same, because it was definitely a lot easier to finish this expansion. Brimstone took me weeks. This expansion took me a day. And so they definitely embraced something new that I've never seen in the MMORPG scene before, which was like a 2-day MSQ. I would say it's like a 2-day MSQ, even for a casual. It's like maybe, it's like 16 hours. I finished it my first day. pretty much, like, right at the end of it. Yeah, like, I would say, now it's like 14 hours. It's like probably 2 7-hour sessions or like 1 14-hour session is what I did. And I got all over the zone, and I capped 65 right about down here. And I've got more content to see that I haven't really done, like that much, like the Cape of Taurus and this dungeon. Haven't been there yet. There's a few, I don't really want to go to those places, so I'm not too eager to go do it, but yeah. I would give it like a solid 8. I would say Brimstone was like a 9. This was like an 8 just purely because it was much more of just like, I believe they were rushing out content just to keep us happy. And honestly, I'd be okay with that. They could keep charging me $30 once a year for another zone, and I would be a happy camper. I'd be okay with it. I'd be like, okay, this time next year, call it early October New World launch, right? Or whatever. Early October New World launch is once a year. I want another zone. Like right out here, I want another zone once a year. So then when we look at New World, like 5 years down the fucking line, you know, there's like 5 more chunky zones, level 65, level 70, level 75, level 80, level 85, etc. And so you end up kind of like they streamline it, so you're always like sort of streamlining your way through it. And eventually there's so much content and so much to do and all these new concepts. Like one of the things that I heard in the scene this year, like at during the expansion launch, is there's the people in the MMO scene, at least in New World, are fairly savvy with what's going on with Ashes of Creation and New World and WoW and that. And I think gliders are the new fad. And with ArcAge 2, I believe World of Warcraft is competitive with ArcAge 2, but I don't believe New World is. So this time next year, I can tell you right now, I was okay with this zone being short. It was like a 14-hour zone, and I was done, and I was capped. And now it's just endgame content, endgame mats, endgame stuff, public raids. I'm okay with it. That's about what MMOs have always generally been anyways. So, but then they embraced the WoW thing. They didn't reinvent the wheel, and I actually kind of like that. So next year, I'm hoping they embrace gliders for all of these zones. And adding gliders to New Worlds, I think you've got a good MMO. Once you add the flight to it, I think you've got a really, truly fucking amazing MMO. And if they really kill it with the if they get hang gliders, right? Instead of crappy goblin gliders, if they give you a system like World of Warcraft where you can get back up in the air again, like Dragonflight, I believe New World could really be the WoW killer. But I mean, it was going to take another year or two for them to get there. One of the things I found out about like AGS very slowly is they're very, very new. Like they hired old hands, but they're very new at what they're doing. And as we watch them stumble and catch their path and start to pick up the people, I one day dream of not like a 20 or 30,000 population game. I dream of like 100,000 population game where like these 3 zones, like once the next expansion hits, these 3 zones are still popping. And if they were smart, they would just raise the cap in Creekwater and raise the cap in Elise Wilds and raise the cap in Shatter Mountain and raise the cap in Brimstone. And keep these expanded, like, kind of expansion zones always hopping and always really fucking smoking hot. And I think with a nice population of about 100,000, I think we could do pretty well with this game. I think so. I think it's got a future. I've not felt hope since, oh God, like Christmas 2020. I haven't felt hope for this. I felt hope for the game back then. But I haven't felt it for, I don't know how long this game's been out. Is it 21? I don't know what it's been. I'm sorry, it's like 21, like Christmas 22. Christmas 22, I think it is actually what I'm trying to think of. It's like since Christmas of 22, I've lost faith in this game. And I still have lost faith in this game. But I don't know, like, I don't know how to reconcile with that. I don't know how to reconcile with it. I mean, I don't know if they can do it, but I believe if they do it, it'll be based off the idea of embracing this fast-paced combat that kind of feels like Counter-Strike, and a lot less like crappy tab target World of Warcraft, fucking Dinosaur, Final Fantasy 14, Ashes of Creation, tab target, no skill, no aiming or anything. And they added the mace. As you can see, the mace is badass. Watch the mace, right? Lot of fucking mobility, and this is too. See it a lot, and I haven't even bought my third point yet. I should have bought my third point, but I forced myself to do a point into the chart again. I'm gonna cap out my mace because like the mace is super good. The flail is super good because it has a shield, which brought like tanking to DPS, right? So you can't really do flail. It does. I mean, you can't do flail as a main. It's. I mean, you can, but you can actually. It's very strong, but it's more of a caster's like offhand than it is a main weapon, despite it being very nasty. Yeah, look. I mean, doesn't this kind of start to feel a little bit like League of Legends, right? Do you see how there is some potential here? I believe there's some potential here. If they start to add stuff like League of Legends matches, if they started to add MOBAs to this with creeps and shit like that and capture points, if there was, you know, like I don't see why this game couldn't be good over time. And as time goes on, they bump the graphics. One of the things I fundamentally believe about this engine is the way they built it. I think they can always just keep whipping it into shape. And that's something that I'm a believer in making that statement today, after now, and only freshly after, you know, if it's that you spoke to me, MJ, like about this, is because I just left a public raid with about 50 people, and I was very, very, very happy with my experience. I believe the public raiding is the future of MMORPGs, and if they bring the Counter-Strike action to the public raids and they keep the frame rate clean and they keep beating the engine into shape, they don't have problems with Unity shit like Rust. They don't have to redo like Counter-Strike 2 or improve like Counter-Strike 2. I mean, they do have to improve like Counter-Strike 2, but they don't have to, like, you know, but they don't have to whip the engine like Unity or Unreal to do so. They have a brand new engine. Their engine, say what you want about it, it's a piece of shit. But I mean, like how it works is great though. I mean, like up and inside the game inside of 90 seconds. It's the best MMO load I've ever had in my lifetime. The engine isn't amazing, and it was sucky at first, and it was still shitty all the way up until 2 days ago. But now, if you notice, I'm pulling solid 129, 133. I mean, I'm in one lower level of resolution. Today I switched down to from 1440p to 1080p because, like, I'm looking for high frames on this expansion, and so I dropped the resolution trying to see how good the expansion would look. And I'm happy. I'm happy. I think the game looks good enough. It's got a pixelated look to it when you're up close, but I still think the engine is something that I do have some faith in. It has been reliable for me. And as far as role-playing and value in this game is, right now I'm a rock farmer. And suddenly, like, I view it like this, like, all of a sudden, I'm a rocksmith, right? All of a sudden, I'm a rocksmith. Instantly, I'm a rocksmith. I'll go into my menu, and I'll pop my, you know, I'll pop my food, and I'll switch my gear set in under a second. And I guess I could show you this without screwing me up. I haven't been worrying about my gear sets that much, but here we go. I'll do it here. So gear sets are the smoothest I've ever seen a gear set be. Import, yes. Import, yes. Equip. I'll switch out a different weapon here for, like, a lot of these are BOP, so I'll look at what else I have here. I have this one already equipped, so I'll switch out to this other sword here. Right? And so now, as you can see, something that's monumental about this game is you can go stance, 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 stance. I'm talking totally two different weapons. Eventually, it'll be attributes. Eventually, they'll get around to coding the... Oh, man, I capped out strength. Jesus Christ. Yeah, like something happened here. I capped out. Look, I am on the top. I'm like on the top of the New World scene now. It's kind of crazy. Like I don't think most of the world has this right now. I'm one of like probably I don't know, probably about I'd say 500 people that have this in the world right now. They're stat capped out, I'd say. It takes probably a legend or an artifact to do it, but anyway, so they added the flail, and now I'm thinking if they go the League of Legends route and they add a new zone and a new weapon and a new gimmick like mounted combats, flying combat, flying towns, you know, or something, I don't know, like whatever, stuff like that, and they keep adding to the game. I think this game could be the WoW killer, but I've always kind of, but I didn't always think this. I always thought that it had the potential to, but now that I've seen their improvements in their engine after the expansion release, just day 2 of the expansion, you notice that I'm getting 140 frames, the servers are not slogging, there's no queues, AGS is not fucking around, they're stepping for real serious, you know? They're not fucking around. And so I think, you know, I'm ready to sort of believe in them more again, but I struggle with also, like, I don't know if there's enough content here to keep me here as a main. But I mean, the beautiful thing about New World is you never pay a monthly, so it's okay to just put this motherfucker down for 8 months and go play Rust. Put it down, go play Apex or Counter-Strike, or fucking, I'm about to probably do quite a bit of Fortnite once my friend warms up and all this. Probably do some Fortnite duo over the next couple of weeks and stuff. I'm playing a lot of EVE Online and a lot of Fallout and stuff and Skyrim. And, you know, this game is always on in the background. It's annoying because it requires a game capture. It can't do display capture, or you get this effect, right? You see it? Fucking terrible. But it's still a great game despite its engine limitation in that respect. It's still a really fucking good game. And I think now there's a lot to be said for not paying a monthly and just having it around forever. I don't feel that way about Diablo 4. But I do feel that way about this game. This game is like old school RuneScape. Once you buy it, you're fucking done. You're done. You have it forever. I mean, you might have to buy the expansion, so then, you know, that might be $70 for the entire package. But, like, once you buy the expansion, you're done. You're fucking done. Like, you're just, you know, like, you can log in on a Saturday night when you're drunk. 4 months later, like, you know, 3 a.m, you just got late or whatever, and you're like, fuck, I feel like playing some New World, I'm drunk as fuck, and I'm staying up all night, or whatever, and you're like, I feel like playing some video games. You know what I miss is New World and shit, and you fire that motherfucker up. It's on your D drive, you know, or whatever, or maybe your C drive, because it's only like 30 gigs or something, so it's okay to keep on the C drive, I would say. You keep it on your C drive, keep it on the C drive, and, like, this game is always there for you. It wraps its loving arms around you. It never denies you service. It never tells you, oh, you didn't buy it, or, I mean, it does for the expansion, but it's not some loss to not have the expansion. It's fine. You know, it's kind of weird. It's basically content for people who actually wanted the content, I would say. They didn't force anybody to take this expansion, I don't think. You can have the exact same, like, fun time at level 60 that you can 65. You're constrained one or two zones less. But, I mean, the rest of the world is still playing with you in those old zones. So, it doesn't matter. I witnessed it right then. Most of the people in that raid, they were below 60, and they were doing stuff with us. And you can see AGS wanted us mixing levels a lot, so that there's no cap and there's no differentiation between people who bought the expansion and people who didn't, people who don't, you know, don't play all the time and all that stuff. So now I go into my menu and suddenly I pop my logging gear. I switch to my logging gear like this, right? And I go chopping trees, and suddenly I'm a lumberjack, and I think about, oh, well, what's my trade skill in logging now, and furniture, or whatever, furniture crafting, or whatever it is, what is it called? It's called furnishing. Yeah, furnishing. So wood logging is a good discipline for furnishing, weaponsmithing, and woodworking which has to do with furniture. Also, it has to do with weaving. And so when you're doing some logging, you're thinking about the other skills too, and what goes along with it. And so you doff the hat of the lumberjack. And this is why I coined this term. I feel like I coined this term. A lot of people in the New World scene are starting to say it, and I said it first. I swear to God, I said it first. I never heard anybody else say this before I did. I said it's my free, always free, Souls-like RuneScape. And so no matter what, I can just doff a hat, doff an axe, go start chopping wood and chopping rocks, and I don't have to kill anything. I don't have to worry. I can just keep on chopping. I can turn on my Netflix and I can get a blowjob or whatever. It doesn't matter. The gameplay is so fucking mindless that you could get a blowjob while you were doing this. I can envision my ex right now giving me a blowjob while I I realize that's kind of sick, but I mean she's single, so whatever. I mean, or whatever, like it's fine. Like, so it's, and she would distract me, but I could still do this gameplay, and that's important to me as a streamer. Especially as a streamer, I need to be able to do the flow state where I talk to you guys like this all the time. And so I think New World, I was naturally inclined to the sort of trimming bonsai tree gameplay loop that this game sort of engenders in you. I was more probably inclined to embrace it than a lot of people are, because I'm like a no-lifer, and I have too much time on my hands, and I play too many games. So it's easy for me to embrace this mindless tree chopping, but frankly, it's actually not the worst content, I don't think. I think it gives off this impression that I'm farming really hard all the time, and that life's moving forward, and in the background, Skycat Live is farming, and pulling in more money, and one of us is making a lot of money in the game or whatever. It is what it is. And so, and so New World wrapped its loving arms around me as a streamer, I would say. As far as streaming goes, this game is almost never totally boring. I mean, it can have lulling moments where you're like running across a boring meadow like this, and there's nothing happening. But already right there is like some nice red weeds, right? And the execution reminds me of Fortnite, and I think that's kind of where they got it from too. The execution reminds me of looking for loot in Fortnite. It really does. Like the trees and the herbs and the fucking marijuana, the goats and shit. It all kind of feels like some kind of merry Fortnite vibe, where you're like, oh, I'm gonna go open that chest or whatever. It's a little bit like that. I think they definitely got that correct, where just like Fortnite, you can basically turn off your fucking brain and let the storm and the kills and the looting just take you all the way to the center of the storm. Of course, Fortnite's on my mind lately a lot, but I mean, let the storm take you all the way back to the center and kill everybody at the center and win the match. But that whole, I would call that a flow state that I got very used to, being kind of like a Fortnite vet. And now I'm looking for that same flow state in other games. So that kind of flow state where you might, like in old build Fortnite, you might chop down 5 walls so you'll have the build to get in a build fight. That's the same vibe here. You're chopping trees so you can sell it on the auction house, so you can buy the best weapon on the market. And this game embraced BOEs a lot more. They did, look, it's a BOE game. Most of these in my inventory are BOE. This legendary is BOE. This legendary right now is going to sell. I have to go sell this legendary right now. I literally have to go sell this legendary right now. It's so valuable that I literally I have to go sell this right now, this minute. I have to stop what I'm doing. I didn't realize I pulled it. And you see that BOEs are like a way of life on this game, like Diablo. Diablo was a BOE game too. And so the mindless, I believe New World to be the new Diablo. It's a lot more fun than fucking Diablo. It's 3D. It plays like Diablo. It's never ending. You just keep on fucking killing and killing and killing. It's got all the cool teleporty mage stuff that we got in Diablo. See it? Teleporty jumping around and shit. Bows and shit. It's got all the Diablo stuff. This is the closest thing I've ever felt to a 3D Diablo. And once your eye level's up, the shit dies like Diablo too. You can pull packs of 15 things and kill wild AOE, no problem. And I'm sorry I just deep-throated my mic there. I'm terribly sorry, guys. I love you. Please forgive me. Don't hate me. I love you. I love you. And that's my little spiel about New World. I'm gonna shut the fuck up now and listen to the hot liberal girl talk about Idiocracy is not a documentary.
Supporters existing, to Biden supporters existing, to people being woke and supporting social justice, to TikTokers being given war briefings, to just people making obvious
Yeah, the
jokes.
tribalism
Much like
is
how
stupid.
People who have never read 1984 will frequently describe
I've read
any
1984
governmental
like
decision they
twice.
disagree with as literally 1984.
I read it
Generally
recently.
speaking,
Okay, you know, oh my god, okay, I did read 1984 recently. I read, when I thought I was going to jail, they were like, you're going to jail for 10 years for probation violation, get used to it, blah. We're gonna maybe deal with you, maybe, but you know, and then it turned out to be like two more years of unsupervised probation, but they terrorized me with it for like fucking 2 years, and at the end of it, like, you know, I forgot what I was gonna say, yeah, I forgot what I was gonna say, fuck.
these people aren't necessarily referencing specific events from Idiocracy or looking back at the actual film itself, so much as just invoking its name as shorthand for people are dumb. On the other hand, a sort of counter-narrative to Idiocracy has emerged, albeit a smaller and much less dominant one.
Oh yeah, like the tribalism thing. So like, by the time that I don't know, by the time I was like getting towards out of the system, I didn't view it so simple as I choose a side, you choose a side, and we oppose. I just don't see it that simply anymore. We have to have an open discourse.
Writers like Vice's Rick Paulus and Salon's Adam Johnson are among the few...
Oh yeah, so I remember what I was gonna say now. I remember what I was gonna say. So before I went into I thought I was going into jail, I read 2 books. The Fall of Gondolin by the 2 books I read before I went to jail were The Fall of Gondolin by Lord of the Rings guy's son, Joseph Tolkien, or whatever his son's name is. I forget his name. And the other one I read was 1984, because I believe that I was in a 1984 situation. I was facing 10 years in jail for a non-felony charge, and I thought that was so 1984 that I read 1984. And I cried because 1984 is actually so fucking depressing. Or like Fahrenheit 451, or I love Ray Bradbury, everything he ever did, or the Canterbury Tales or anything. Man, there's so much good stuff out of that era.
Mainstream voices to deeply examine the actual text of the film, with both writers mainly criticizing its eugenicsy.
I gotta sell this weapon.
Don't get me wrong,
Look at me sell this fucking weapon. It's gonna be a lot. Yeah, like oh look, I pulled a, oh my god, I pulled a 675 bow. What's it worth? Look, there's no other bows. Oh my god, what is this worth? It's got keenly empowered and it's got keen on it. I think I can slap, guys, a price of like $17.50? $17.50. And I think I'm gonna try for it. I'm gonna try for it. I doubt I'll get it. I'm just going to see, you know, if this guy is definitely going to sell. We're going to see my competition here, but, yeah, okay, now we have to, like, now this guy is a big ticket item on this server. People like their Warhammers, and they like their big cock Warhammers with high eye level and shit. Yeah, this Warhammer with eye level, 683 eye level Warhammer with vicious, keen, and life stealing. It's the trifecta. It's got keen, vicious, and life stealing, guys. Watch me slap this beautiful price tag on this bitch. I'm not gonna get it, but I'm gonna try and get it. I doubt I'm gonna get it, but I'm gonna charge what I believe it is worth and what I believe I can get for it. You're not gonna think this. You're gonna be like, yeah, fucking right. But I'm gonna charge 10 grand for this motherfucker. Watch this. This shit's worth 10 grand too. Watch. You want to know how I know? It's going up for 10 grand. Now watch my post compared to everyone else's after I do it. 10 grand for this defiled Warhammer. You know what I'm saying? That shit's like some of the most expensive shit on the auction house I just posted, right? So here we go. Warhammers. We're going to go to two-handers. Oh, I'm glitched. I have to relog here because my auction is glitched. One of the things about New World is it is slightly buggy, but I've never had the bug ever affect me. I don't think I've ever had a New World bug affect me in any way or form. This, I mean, I guess a relog. I've had ones that made me relog like this, but I've never had one where I've ever had to contact a GM ever or any of that. So here we go. We go back in. We're going to go look at two-hand Warhammers on Lilith. What's a two-hand fucking artifact, or I'm sorry, legendary Warhammer, top of the line? I'm talking like 13 off of the top BOE eye level that you can get. What's that going to be? What's that going to sell for? It's a pretty piece, that. And it's got the PvP trifecta. Double keen with life stealing. The PvP kids are going to shit their pants. The eye level's not good enough on it, right? So probably can't get 10 grand. I should probably drop it to 5. But before I do that, we're going to go consult the prices of my competition, because I'm guarantee I've got the best fucking Warhammer on the server. I guarantee it. I bet you. If I don't, I've got one of the top 5. I bet you I've got either the best. I possess the best Warhammer on the server right now, outside of Mutated, which is BOP. I've got the best BOE Warhammer on the server, I think. I've guaranteed it. Now, let's go look. I bet you. It's going to be up there. No, there'll be 700s, but they won't be trifecta like mine. Son of a bitch, what is your problem? Okay, weapons, two-handers. That old rush when you get a 10,000 gold item, you know? And you're like, "Oh shit, that's going to buy me a nice house in the new zone. I'm going to go retire in a nice house in the hills now. I'm going to go get me my nice house in the MMO hills." Gotta love that feeling. I've missed that feeling, man. I've missed that fucking feeling so bad. So here we go. Okay, eye level 700 Warhammer for 80 grand is good. He's got keen, refreshing, and thwarting, which is good, but it's not trifecta. That'd be double keen and healing. Mine isn't as good as his. Mine's 13 eye level lower. You get an idea of what he's charging. Do you guys see? Do you see? Do you see my competition? He's got a better piece, doesn't he? He does. He's got, I just want to lick that window. I mean, it's a beautiful weapon. It's the best weapon I've ever seen in New World. Hands down. It's hands down the best weapon I've ever seen in New World. It brings tears to my Diablo, like, boomer eyes. You know, this weapon is just fucking beautiful. But anyways, so there's a few up there competing with him. There's close to the trifecta. Do you see it? Keen and vicious. And he pulled Shirk, which is good too. Shirk's good, but I think thwarting's better because it has 7% damage. This is the trifecta, but also, look, it's got a flaw, guys. Strength and con. It's not worth 80 grand. It's worth 36. It's only worth 6,000 more than this one, right? Because it had the thwarting and no. This one is only worth like maybe 10,000, and he's asking 80. This one's worth the 30 that he's asking. This one, Leeching Path of Destiny, heals 62% of the damage dealt by Path of Destiny. This one sucks. It's not worth the 25 grand. It's worth like 4 to 5. And then I don't know where mine is in this mess. Oh, I'm not sorting by price. Here we go. Well, like, yeah, I got to sort by price, right? So mine sits down here at the 10 mark. There she is. Nope, that's not it. There she is. See it? There she is. So 683. See it? 10 grand, right? So I don't have even a top 50 hammer. I don't even have a top 50 hammer, no. Well, I mean, I do. I have a 683 hammer. And yeah, 683 is pretty good, but it's not even top 50 though, no. So I overestimated my hammer, but see, the difference is mine has super good stats, and I think it's gonna sell for the 10 grand. It's got keen, vicious, and life stealing. I'm tempted to keep it myself and level with it. It's not as good as what I'm going to get in the future. I'm going to sell it now while I can get the money for it. I realize now that I'm a motivated seller when I see that my competition is about 55 items above me. And it's a great little weapon that speaks for itself. It's got the trifecta. It's got the life stealing and the keen vicious crit. But, I mean, it's not... I think I'll get 10k too. But I'm a motivated seller. And I want to ensure that I make the sale before the econ collapses at a price that I think somebody's going to pay. And I don't care about the money. I want to make the sale. So I'm going back to weapons here. My orders. This Defiled Warhammer is sitting for 10k, and I put the Defiled Bow for 1750. I think I'm going to ask for 3,600, and I think I'm going to be happy with it. I think I could get the 10 grand too, or I wouldn't have priced it, but I don't think so. I think they're going to want eye level 700, and anything below it is worthless, and I'm kidding myself about how little this is worth. And I'm going to go where my instincts tell me to go, which is reselling it for 3,600. 3,600. Upon second inspection, I believe I did not have the hot shit on the block. I thought I did, but I was not even top 50. And I think I'm lucky to get even a third of the money that those guys are getting. So I'm going to ask for a third of what I charge. 3,700. So let's go replace 3,700, and I'll be happy with it. I'll be real happy with that. Yeah, take my 3,700. Taxes are 200 on it. Yeah, place. It's good. And then all of these flails are... Jesus, yeah. Yeah, and it's also, it's fair. I always undercut. I'm not a big price person. I'm I'm a steady money person. So all these other people might want a lot of money here. I'm going to ask for 100 for all of these blues. See, they want like 300 for a green. I want the steady money, so I'm just going to sell all these, and I know flails will sell. So I'm going to take my guaranteed 100. Yep. Already you can see other people are thinking the same thing. I'm not alone. Often my market manipulations are now what's the eye level on it? No. I mean, yeah, that's a low level flail that's actually super good. No, this is worth something. That's worth 400. Yeah, never mind. This one in particular. Yeah, this one's worth in particular is worth like 499 because it's like the best low level flail you can possibly get for level 37. So it will sell for like 500. Look, I have that particular flail was fuck. Maybe I better go look at that flail I just posted for 100 actually. 490, 398. Yeah, 490 is only worth 100. Yeah. 486. Yeah, but this 398 though is definitely worth like 500, something like that. I definitely caught a nice piece there. 487, no good. I'd be happy with 100 because it's a flail. Yep, so you can see everyone else is thinking the exact same thing. Darken flail. Yep, take a this is a 393. This is a 500 piece. I pulled another really nice 393 flail. We're 500. Fuck yeah, that's like, and I bet that does sell. I bet it does. Nice darkened greatsword, tier 5, 626. It's gonna go in comparison, I would say 225. Same. Well, I don't know. What's the eye level? Oh, no. No, this guy, 300. This guy is a bit better. This one we could pull 500 depending on the stats. It's only got refreshing move and enchanted. It's garbage. It'll pull 100. No, it'll pull 50. This is a garbage greatsword. It's unfortunate, but it is. Flail. 692 flail. 692 flail. So let's go take a look at the flail market. Weapons. One-handed. Flail. Sort by eye level. We drop down and we see that, yes, I do. I have a top 20 flail on the server. Look at this. And my blood begins to pump a little bit. So this guy's asking 350 for... I was going to buy that. Fuck that. I mean, I'm sorry, but that's just dumb. I'm buying that fucking flail and I'm repricing. This guy too. Fuck this shit. Right? Yeah. I want to pull 1,500 on both of these. Yeah. I think so. 1,500. You know what I'm saying? That's affordable, isn't it? I think so. Yeah, I mean, it's a fucking high eye level flail. It's a placeholder. For 1,500, you can't go wrong. Can't go wrong. 1,500. Take it, buy it, leave it. I don't give a shit. Later on, and if it doesn't sell, I'll crack it for 3 gold and call it a win. You know, I really don't care if you buy it or not. Dryad Kite Shield, 627. You know what I'm saying? 627. No good. Lucky to get 50. What's the stats on it? Refreshing, life stealing. This Dryad Kite Shield, while its eye level is inferior, I do realize now how badly I want to look for a life-stealing small shield. So we go weapon, shields. We're going for round shields, right? Eye level, the highest we can get with an affix of life-stealing. Life-stealing. Right? Yeah. And we're going to apply, and we're going to pray for a life-stealing. 5,000, and the eye level on it is garbage. So we begin to see that the shield might be sort of good. Currently I have a crappy 683 round shield. Let's see what the competition in round is. We'll drop it. I keep bumping my mic, guys. I'm so sorry. I'll try to get it up there where I don't do it so much. I am trying to buy a weapon of the shield. Yeah, weapon of the shield variety. Round shields. 695 for 6,000. The round shield that I currently have was better. This one's cheaper, 673. It's 10 less. It looks a lot better. It's got good stats, but it's inferior eye level wise. It's time to look at kite shields. 662 is the highest kite shield that I see. We see that there's kind of a bear market on kite shields. The tanks are paying high price for them. And we do see that my kite shield in particular is worth a lot. It's worth like 5 or 10 grand. We see that the meta is kite shield, and we make we see that we have the best life stealing shield on the market. I thought. Shit, did I post it? Shit, did I post that shield? I don't. I did. Get it gone. Ah, that was almost a mistake. Bad mistake. There we go. Oh, thank God nobody was looking. So, 627 isn't amazing. I lose some eye level here in a major way. But that's okay. I'll pick it up in other places. I want the life stealing on the flail so badly, and I'll take it however I can get. Speaking of life stealing on a flail, let's go see about that. Life stealing on a flail. One-handed flail. Looking for an affix. Now look, like flails with trifecta. Mortal lifesteal. Look, the good lifesteal flail is 10% health on kill. I mean, that's not that good, but it's... I don't know why he wants 150 for it. Don't see what... I mean, yeah, but oh, yeah, it's got PvP. It's got Plague Strikes and Burdening Smite for PvP, which is super good, yeah. Yeah, I think so, but I'm looking for a life-stealing flail. Yeah, life-stealing, and I don't know if you can give this for me, but let's go see. Any life-stealing flail? There is a 698 with life-stealing, yeah. Here is an affordable upgrade with upgrade with life-stealing. 3,000. It's even got the gem in it, but it's only an Abyssal 2. I'll have to replace it. It's acceptable and it's affordable. It's an upgrade. It's a definite upgrade. We're going to buy it. We're going to replace the gem in it. Both gems in it. Well, no, I can't replace the gem. Well, I don't know. We need to go see if I can find any leeching for sale at all. Get the affixes off. Apply. Any life stealing at all. Okay. Rune glass of leeching. Amber is going cheaper. Yes, leeching amber is going cheaper. 1,300. Amethyst. Nope. Amethyst would be my preference. Yeah. Amethyst would be my preference. But I mean, I don't need a rune glass for my flail. It already gets life stealing from his shield. I mean, I do. I need two rune glasses now. But I mean, already I'll probably, I don't know. It's hard to say. Let's go hunting for any other leeching mistakes. Maybe somebody made a carnelian mistake or something. Oh, I am making mistakes sorting here. Oops. So here we go. Sorting better. 2,000. 2,000 is acceptable, but I can't pay for two of them. Go back out of carnelian to the cheaper one that I saw. What was that? That was amber. No, it wasn't amber. It was amethyst. No. I'm not getting the gems that I was previously seeing. Amber is a no. Aquamarine is a bit better. Aquamarine is good, but it's still no. Carnelian is better. Carnelian's affordable. We will buy a carnelian gem if there's nothing better. Carnelian, diamond. Diamonds! Diamonds, ninja! I want diamonds! 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 I'm old enough to bleed. I'm old enough to bleed. I'm old enough to crack a fucking brick in your teeth. I'm old enough to bleed. I'm old enough to breathe. I'm old enough to seed. I'm old enough to crack a fucking brick in your teeth. Unshini wom. Unshini wom. Unshini wom. Unshini wom. Ninja! I want diamonds! Diamonds! Unshini wom. Unshini wom. Unshini wom. Unshini wom. Unshini wom. Unshini wom. Bring me my machine gun, bitch!
Now listen to me fucking nicely, ninja. We need to stop fucking around here.
You stop fucking around here.
Fucking game, my blood.
Fucking my fucking game, my blood.
We deserve
fucking respect.
I don't want to roll around like a fucking
done rat for the rest of my life.
It's time for some action, my blood.
It's time for some action, my blood.
Or fucking never,
it's now or never.
If you want to be next level,
we need to fucking roll next level.
Nothing is
fucking happening for us. Just look how we're rolling.
No one takes us seriously, and I'm
fucking sick of it. I'm sick of it.
Gangster, my blood.
Gangster.
We need to fucking make a movie.
We need to do a movie or videos and music and video games and pump this shit to the next level. Fuck everyone. Fuck everyone. Fuck it. Fuck this.
Lazy ass.
Fuck you.
Get up.
Get up.
Get up, ninja. Fuck you.
Fuck you. Fuck you.
Always play dead. It's so stupid. I can feel you breathing. Get up. Get up. Ninja.
Ninja.
Do something. Just say one thing. Just say one thing. Wake up. Get up. I hate this guy. I fucking hate this guy.
I fucking hate this game too. I pretend that I'm dead all the time. I thought what I would do was is pretend I was one of them deaf mutes.
And you just leave me. Why couldn't you just stand up? Please, Ninja, I love you, dude. Please get up.
I hate you.
I hate you too.
Goeiemôre Suid-Afrika.
I'm old enough to breathe. I'm old enough to breathe. Can you see it when you see it? I'm old enough to breathe. I'm old enough to breathe. I'm old enough to breathe. Can you see it while I sleep? Boom, 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 boom.
Can you breathe while you sleep?
It's gangster.
It's gangsta.
Sisters, look at those fucking wheelchairs. Those things are so cock.
Yeah, man.
That's why no one takes us seriously, baby, because we roll around in those fucking things.
I know, right?
Only a puss would roll around in a fucking wheelchair. Things give me nightmares, baby.
Fucking things give me nightmares, baby.
Always have to moan the whole time about everything.
Because fucking people are laughing at us with these fucking things, man.
Oh, fuck, man.
That's why my alien head so fucking big with my green dreadlock
And
brains.
so I can see your aura. Everything looks so strange. Like I need some water. But bong looks like a big fat long schlong.
Oh,
it's long dong bong made in Hong Kong. My big bongs will bubble when I take a hit.
Get out the fucking way.
Get out of the fucking way.
Fucking nuts, puss. Fucking dus etter kop und puss najar.
Yeah! Oh. Ah.
Come, let's fuck off.
Come, let's fuck off.
It's nothing. He's your bra.
It's your bra.
I'll try it on. Funky.
Funky,
Check my
funky.
motherfucking bling, bitch. Fucking gangster.
Give me one too, my brother. Give
Check
me
it
one
out.
of those fucking rings.
It's after death, bitch. It's after death. You can have one kiss. One kiss.
One kiss.
Give me one also.
You can kiss it.
Give
You
it
can
to
kiss
me.
it.
Bam!
Ah,
Ninja! Diamonds!
Diamonds!
Give me my fucking diamonds!
Diamonds! Do this, do this, do this. Ah. Do this, do this, do this, do this. Ah.
Do this, do this, do this, do this. Ah. Are you sure that's a fucking plan?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
You fucking sure?
Yeah.
We're gonna do this?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
We're gonna fucking do this. Okay, let's fucking go.
You had to check the wheelchairs. So these are the wheelchairs. They're the ultimate in wheelchairs. Pure leather seats, wide rims, spoked mag wheels, even got seat belts, chrome footrests, armrests, heated armrests, and power steering. This thing is so tough and fast, and the ride is smooth like a Rolls Royce. In fact, this is the Rolls Royce of wheelchairs, but very expensive.
How much are they?
Poppy, maybe a little too expensive for people like you.
What do you mean people like us?
Girl.
Faton Fluffy!
Ninja, we need to stop fucking It's time to step
Faton.
up again.
How's it, Oaks? Can I help you?
Do you have hologram mags?
Yes, I've got
Hologram
hologram
mags.
Yeah, man. I've got everything. Yeah.
Great.
No one takes us
Seriously, and I'm fucking sick of it. When you keep it gangsta. Yes. Fucking sweet. Yes.
Top of the line.
Top of the line. Rolls Royce. Rolls Royce.